If you want to completely automate your course, coaching, or consulting income, this is the simple 7-step funnel for you, and you can now copy it 100% free using Systemi.io to build your landing pages, your sales pages, your order bumps, your upsells, and even send automated emails and create a membership site using their free forever plan, no silly 14 or 30-day trials here. Hey, I'm Jason, faith-based entrepreneur and marketing geek. Timestamps below, along with some other helpful links and resources, including a link to our funnel template pack that has our top converting funnel pages, email campaign, course framework, so you can go from idea to sales in just a few days. Now, to get started, go ahead and click the link in the description to sign up for your free Forever Systemi account. When you click that link, you'll get to a special page that looks something like this, and you'll scroll down and you'll see you can create your account with one of these 4 free bonuses. Now, because part of this training and another link in the description will give you access to our funnel templates, our email campaign, and even our course framework, I recommend going ahead and choosing the free online course. Go ahead and enter your email and you'll be able to set up your free account. Now, if you ever decide to upgrade in the future, we do receive a commission as a way to support this channel and content. Now, once you have your Systemi account, you'll get into a dashboard that looks something like this. You can see in my account here, I have 0 leads for this demo. And the first thing we're going to want to do is come over here and click on funnels to get started. Now, to create a funnel from scratch, you'd go ahead and click on create, and then you can choose the type of funnel you want to make. Now, this is the type of funnel I recommend, whether you're doing online course sales, you're doing coaching or consulting. It's a simple, elegant strategy I've used to sell all 3 of those and combinations of them for myself and clients. Now, when you click one of these, don't worry, you're not locked in. You can always change the funnel pages that you are using. And so I'd go ahead and give our funnel a name. Let's just say awesome funnel number 1. You can, of course, add custom domains as well. You can do that when you go to your account settings. They have a simple tutorial that will show you how to set up your DNS and all that fun stuff. Well, not really fun, but once you set it up, then we don't have to worry about coding anymore. Although in this instance, because I have a template, I'm going to go ahead and exit it out. And when you get our free template, you'll see it will be directly imported into your Systemi account. You just go ahead and click the 3 little dots, duplicate, give it a name, go ahead and duplicate it. And that way you always have the unedited version and you can duplicate it for whatever funnels you want in the future. And you just click on the funnel and you'll be able to see all of your pages and all of the settings. Now, this particular funnel only has 4 pages because on the free plan, you are limited to a total of 15 funnel pages as of this recording, right? Things are always changing, but we wanted to make sure that we minimize the amount of pages we were using if you're still on the free account. Now, if you ever want to add pages, you just go ahead and click on add a step. Of course, you can give it a name, and then you choose the page type. Now, unlike choosing your funnel type, choosing your page type is very important because there's a lot of things on the back end that we don't have to worry about that Systemi will do for us based upon the type of page we choose. So for example, if you're doing webinars, you need to make sure that you choose a webinar page, a webinar thank you page, and of course a broadcast because there's some features on those pages that won't be available elsewhere. And the same is true for your upsells, downsells, and order forms, and of course, your squeeze pages or landing pages as well. So since we already have all the pages we need, I'll go ahead and X that out. Now here's a complete breakdown of the best type of sales funnel for selling digital products, coaching, consulting, and even generating leads for services. And of course, just like any good sales funnel, it starts with your landing page. This is where we collect that contact information that makes this entire process possible. Now, here's some examples of what some landing pages can look like. And the key here is we offer something called a lead magnet. Otherwise, this page and the entire funnel doesn't actually work. So essentially what we're doing here is we're saying, hey, please give us your email address so we can send you this super cool thing. Now, what can this super cool thing be? Well, a lead magnet can be an audit. It could be a template. It can also be a planner. Those are my top 3 that I really like. Or you could spend some time creating a resource guide, or you could go ahead and create some sort of report. So you do a bunch of research, or you could have some sort of short form video training, No, I do not mean a 2.5 hour webinar that's just a giant pitch fest. Those are pretty much dead and gone. But whatever type of lead magnet you decide to make, it's going to be the reason that people want to share their email address in the first place. So link in the cards in the description to a full-blown video that goes through lots of different lead magnet guides and other ideas as well to help you come up with something that would be valuable to attract leads and get this whole process started. Now, here's something that's a little different than maybe some of the other funnels that you've seen, and that is what happens right after someone enters their email on your landing page. And that is, instead of having a thank you page and say, hey, just go check your inbox, we're going to make an offer right here and now. So this is going to be called a one-time offer page. Now, the key to making this work is it is a limited time. So it can be a timer of 24 minutes, 24 hours, or 48 hours. When we get to sales page, you'll see why it can range from 24 minutes all the way up to 48 hours, but more on that in a bit. The key here is we're making a one-time kind of impulse buy offer. And sure, the take rate is going to be like 1% to 2%. If you get to 3%, you can pat yourself on the back. That's really good. So most people won't purchase, but we might as well use this opportunity to offer them something of value, of course, because we know they're interested in whatever it is you have to offer because they just enter their email on your landing page. Now, irrespective of what happens, we're going to send them into something called a rapport sequence. So this is a 3 to 5 email sequence that goes out over the first couple of hours or days that someone's on your list. Again, when we get to the sales page, the timing will make sense. And all we're doing here is we're empathizing with the problems that they have. We're expanding on the dangers of not taking action. And then we're energizing them to take action. And of course, I forgot here, we do send them the lead magnet and the very first email of this sequence, irrespective of whether they purchased on our one-time offer page. Now, after someone sees that one-time offer page, we've given them their lead magnet and they receive email number 2 in our sequence, all roads lead to our sales page. And so this is going to be the main offer that we want to sell. Now, this is where things get tricky. So if we rewind a little bit, on our one-time offer page, we could have had a countdown timer of 24 minutes or 24 or 48 hours. So if you're looking at the strategy and you're going, that's great, I only have one offer, well, here's what you can do. You can have your one-time offer page and your sales page the same offer. And so instead of making the timer 24 minutes, you just make it 24 or 48 hours. And so your rapport sequence would actually just drive everyone back to the page that maybe they said no to in the beginning. And this is a great strategy because it creates a sense of urgency around whatever it is that you're offering throughout your entire funnel. And you can always just add another offer later or test a different offer on your one-time offer page later on. So this is definitely something that you can expand upon in the future. And for this particular funnel, I don't recommend having a separate checkout page anymore. You can just put the checkout form at the bottom of your sales page. And when you use the software we recommend, systemi.io, and the free plan, it actually eliminates one of the pages on that free plan limit, although we can deal with that when we start building your funnel. For now, if someone actually purchases, then we go to the upsell. And again, this is where softwares like Systemi really shine because people only have to enter their payment information once, and then we can make some other offers. Think of it as the line at the when you're in the, oh boy. So silly. Okay, one more time. Think of it as if you're in line for the grocery store and you see all those last minute purchases, right? The candy, the soda, the magazines. So these are kind of like the impulse buys or one-time offers or deals that you're making while someone's going through the checkout process. And so this could be another course, this could be coaching or consulting, or some sort of membership offer, or just another offer altogether if you have one. And of course, you can always add these upsells later, but softwares like Systemi are really powerful because you can add these and it will just charge their card again, as opposed to having to asking customers to enter their credit card for every single offer that you have. So this is really, really powerful. And this will really help you as you scale and grow in the future and you start running paid advertising, because something called your average transaction value is going to be really important. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go ahead and talk about what happens after someone purchases. And that's, of course, going to be your product delivery. So obviously, if you're doing coaching or consulting, you're probably going to send them an email and get started with them that way. If you're doing anything with digital products, you can use Systemi to create a free membership site and automatically deliver the content there. And so what's awesome is it's really easy to update that, and it's a lot better than sending files directly via email and having to deal with spam filters or manually emailing updates every time someone wants something new. And I can tell you from personal experience, your customers will lose your emails. So getting support tickets saying,
hey, can you send me that template one more time?
is kind of annoying. So just put everything in a membership site and save yourself the headache. Now, the reality is most people aren't going to purchase. Even when we go through this entire process, if you get 3% of people who just opted in on your landing page to actually purchase a product or service from you in the first 48 hours, again, pat yourself on the back. You're doing awesome. But for the other 97%, they probably didn't purchase. They opened the lead magnet. Maybe they got some value out of it. Maybe they've already hit unsubscribe. Whatever the case, we're going to put them on our broadcast list. Although not the ones that unsubscribe. Don't send them emails. They don't want to hear from us anymore. But let's say the other 95%, maybe 2% unsubscribe, right? So the other 95% now, math, are on our broadcast list. And this is going to be where we're sending emails just a couple times a week, and we sprinkle in an offer here or there. And so this is something that you really don't want to ignore. In fact, most of our best clients, like for services, have come from people who've been on our email list for years before they ever actually hired us. And some of the comments I get here on YouTube are from people who have told me they've been on the email list a year or two, and then they finally decided to purchase one of our courses. So this is definitely not something you want to neglect. It's technically not part of the initial sales process, but it is really important to make sure that you're doing something with all of those leads that come in, because the majority of them aren't going to buy within the first couple days of joining your email list. And that's all there is to it, to the simple 7-step strategy we are about to build inside of Systemi.io. So we will go through each one of these steps. We have all the copywriting formulas laid out for you to make this as easy as possible, or if you just want to copy them and tell AI to do it. Although I do recommend at least trying your hand at copywriting a little bit here. And of course, the first step is going to be our landing page. Now, even though the point and goal of our landing page is to collect contact information, simply having a page saying, hey, give me your email so I can sell you some stuff later, probably isn't going to work too well, right? That's going to be a really low converting landing page unless people just enter fake emails. So what we need to do is use a proven persuasion framework to essentially tell people why they should opt in, and of course offer them a tangible reason. And so with that, we're going to use something called the AIDA framework. It stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. And we'll start things off with attention at the very top. This is going to be our headline. It could be our post headline as well if you want to get fancy. But essentially, we want to let people know when they hit our landing page, you're in the right place. And the headline is going to promise a result, so something that they want to achieve. And then it's also going to talk about something that they want to overcome. So it's going to say, hey, you can get this result, and we're going to help you sidestep this roadblock, or we're going to help you break this roadblock. We can go through details of copywriting later, but that's essentially what we want to do with the headline. And then, since most people aren't going to opt in by just reading the headline alone, we need to create some interest around what we're offering. And that's going to be interest around, of course, our lead magnet, which is what powers this entire page. So link in the cards in the description to a full-blown video that goes through all different lead magnet ideas, right? But without a lead magnet idea, this persuasion framework kind of falls apart, because we need a reason for people to opt in, and that's what the lead magnet does. And so we're going to have 3 or 5 bullet points that talk about how the lead magnet is going to help them achieve the results that they want and break through or avoid the roadblocks that are in their way of getting the result that they want. And of course, we do 3 or 5 because apparently studies of human psychology and lots of conversion rate testing has shown that odd number of bullet points seem to convert better. So I'm not sure why, but go ahead and do 3 or 5 bullet points. You really don't need more than that. So that's all there is to it, creating some interest. Then we're going to build some desire. And the best way to do this is to show some media appearances to build up some credibility. And then, of course, have testimonials from other people who've used this lead magnet or worked with you in the past and have achieved results that your ideal customer cares about. Now, of course, at this point, most of us go, well, I haven't paid a giant media company hundreds of thousands of dollars to be featured, and I don't have testimonials because I'm just getting started. So what the heck do I do? Great question. You can just quote yourself. I know it sounds silly, but 99% of our landing pages, I just add a quote to myself. I really should collect some testimonials. The only time we actually make an effort with testimonials is when we are doing paid traffic. So that would be the only time I'd say really get some testimonials there. But if you're doing anything organic or social, quoting yourself is probably going to work just fine. And then finally, we need to drive some action. This is where the rubber meets the road. And this is the whole point of this page, right? To collect that contact information. Now, as a general rule, the more information you ask for, the lower your conversion rates are going to be, right? So at bare minimum, just ask for the email. And at bare maximum, please just ask for the email. Unless you really need some other information, or you are just a conversion savant and you get so many leads, you need to start filtering them out at the beginning of your sales process. Then you could ask for more information. Please don't go copy some big corporations form you saw where they ask you like 21 questions, right? That's not what you need to do here. So just grab that email and let people know they should enter their email here, make the button really clear that this is where you enter your email so you can get this awesome lead magnet that we are offering. And so that's all there is to it, to the ADA framework, and that's as complex as your landing page needs to be to enjoy high conversion rates. All right, now that we've got all of the elements down, it's time to actually start building our landing page. So again, timestamps below to skip around, and I'll leave a link in the cards in the description to a full-blown copywriting guide to help you with the copywriting for your landing page, as well as the rest of your funnel. Now let's jump into Systemi here. I already have the template loaded up here and I'm on landing page. If you ever want to make a new landing page, you can just go ahead and click on add step like you would for any other page and select squeeze page. And so Systemi calls landing pages squeeze pages here. And then if you don't like our template for whatever reason, you can see they have a lot of other templates to choose from. And the conversion frameworks we like to use and kind of everything we're going to go through next applies to all of the different templates, right? And all of the different pages you would build inside Systemi as well. So I'll go ahead and remove this, confirm, and then we'll go ahead and click on edit page to jump into editing our landing page here. So it's a really simple editor. There's lots of drag and drop. There's lots of options here too if you want to get overly advanced. So let's go ahead and start with the settings. So I'm going to kind of go top from to bottom here. And the first thing that I like to do in any page builder is set up my fonts. So you can see here, you can set your default fonts. They have quite a list. And you can set your default font for your body copy. So this would be like what our font is going to be for these bullet points. And then you can also set a default font for your headlines or headings. And so this way you set it one time, you choose your colors and your typography and all that, and then you're done. Like anything else you add to the page after this, we'll use your default settings here. So I've clicked on settings for that. And something I didn't appreciate until relatively recently when we were testing out some other funnel builders, go high level, for instance, is when you go to custom fonts, you can actually upload your font file directly here. You don't have to deal with any custom CSS, and your font will actually apply to everything on the page. So if you want custom fonts, this is something you should definitely try out after you have a couple of funnels because it's an easy way to make sure your pages don't look like everyone else's. You can just upload it here and you don't have to deal with CSS, and it actually applies to all of the elements on the page. So let's go ahead and I'll just go back to Google Fonts for now. And we'll scroll down here. Of course, you can change the background color, upload a background image. I like to keep things simple and white. They have some SEO information. That's not going to matter for this page. Just skip it. And then, of course, we have our oh so important tracking. So if you're doing anything with paid ads, here's your header and footer places. They don't have the opening of the body tag. So most of your tracking codes is probably just going to go in the bottom of the header. And if you're like, what the heck does that mean? Don't worry. When you start running paid traffic, because your business will grow, then you'll care. So the last thing here is if you decide to upgrade, you will have the option of turning off the affiliate badge. So that's that little badge right here. What is cool though, is when you sign up, you're automatically enrolled in the affiliate program. So if anyone does click it while you're using the free plan, you will, or you should receive a commission, unlike some of the other ones that just take the money and leave the badge there. So I'll go ahead and leave it there since this is a demo. And then now let's go ahead and talk about how we organize everything on the page. So If I go ahead and hide this, here's our page. And so here's a quick little graphic to help us understand the organization. Of course, I clicked. So we start with sections. So as we come down here, everything is in a section. And then we add rows to those sections to organize the elements that are inside the rows. Now, technically, you could have a row inside of a row, inside of a row, inside of a row, and then it's like Inception is super confusing, and it's just open to interpretation as to what the ending actually meant, right? Okay, just kidding. Little sore about that. Anyway, jumping back in here, I'm going to go ahead and click on Bulleted List. If you ever get lost, there is a really easy way to figure out where you are. So you just click on the element you want, and then you can click on row, and you can see the row it is, and then you click on section, and you can see what section it is. So that's kind of how things are organized. Now with our rows, of course, we can click and drag to change how much one row takes up versus another. You can also change the alignment of things. So if I come over here, you can tell sometimes it's a little hard to get at the actual element you want. Here we go. I'm almost there. I made it. So you can see here, I can change the alignment. So I can say I want things centered, I want things at the bottom, or I want things at the top. I'll leave it at the top for now. And you can always add more rows and columns and sections by coming down to column layout. You can add a section, you can add up to 4 columns, or you could go ahead and add a row. And so rows and columns are technically just the same thing. It's just a row is one column. It wouldn't make sense to say one column, so they call it a row, right? How many times am I going to say row? Let's move on. Let's go up here. Before we get into all of the fun elements that we can play with, let's go ahead and click on blocks. They do have some things pre-formatted for you, and you actually have the ability to save your sections. So I'll get to that in a moment, but let's go ahead and click on opt-in forms here. You can see they have a couple of sections that are pre-formatted. So all you have to do is click and it will pop into your design, and then you can move it up and down however you see fit. One of the blocks that I really like playing with is testimonials, because once you have testimonials, they definitely should be on your landing page and your sales page. And I guess those are it. You don't really put testimonials on upsell pages most of the time. And then you also have this section called My Blocks, where you can actually save your previous designs. And so you can see here, we have a guarantee block that we always put on our sales pages, and we have an order bump design that we always put on our sales pages. And so we save this once, and anytime we're building another page that we need it, we just come over here, and I could say click, and then our design is dropped in here. And then we could go ahead and edit it. So I'm going to undo that because I do not want an order bump on our landing page. Now, speaking of editing, there's no autosave. So please remember to come up here every once in a while and click on Save Changes. You do have the redo and undo, but like the old days, you gotta click Save on that Word doc, right? So let's go ahead and jump over to elements now and talk about how we can add them. So let's say, for example, I want to add a new headline. So I can go ahead and click this text box, and you can see it starts highlighting where I can put it. So I can put it inside, like if I wanted to put it on top of the bullet points, I could put it here. I could put it on top of the image block we have here, or I could put it in between two sections, or I could put it inside of this row. So I'm going to put it right on top here. And so if I click on it, you'll see that it added it to a row that already existed. And then, of course, I can highlight the text and make all the changes that I want. Now, something to note when it comes to your spacing, it can get really confusing because you can have spacing at the section and the row and the element level. It can get really confusing. So for me, I like doing all of my spacing with the element, because then that way I know if something's not right, I just go to the element. So as an example, I've clicked on my new text here. Let's say this is a pre-headline. I'll go ahead and highlight and change the text color to a gray, and let's just italicize it. So I've got my little pre-headline here, and I want to change the spacing. So I can come over here, and the first thing I can do is change the margin. And so I'll click on this so I can change the bottom margin. So I can click, and I can make it big, or I can actually go negative. So if you want to go negative, you'll just start pushing down like this, and you'll see that the text will actually go on top of the element that's below it. And so I'll go ahead and put it back to 0. Or if I wanted to add some margin to the top, that's what I could do here. Or you'll notice here that this headline is kind of centered. And so what I can do is I can click on the text, and then I can come over to our padding, and I could change the padding this way, and then I could change the padding this way. And then now, if I start making more text, you'll see that it won't go all the way. Like this is a giant padding here. So if I take this padding away, all of a sudden it starts going back to full width. And so this is how you want to center elements on your page, because this is going to be responsive, right? When someone goes to mobile, we need it to still be in the center. If I went ahead and hit, enter here, that's going to show up really funny on mobile. So you don't want to do that. All right, that's a little distracting. Let's just go ahead and remove that altogether. And the only other page note that is really important is when you are creating your sections. So if I come to section here, you see I've selected my section. I'll come over here to the settings. If my computer will unfreeze, there we go. And you'll see here that you can tell it if it should show up on mobile, desktop, or both. So if I uncheck mobile, you'll see all of a sudden it says desktop only. So if I go to my mobile preview here, all of a sudden the headline's gone. If I come back to desktop and I say, no, I do want this on mobile, and I come back, now it is here. So once you're done building your page, always come to the mobile preview, and you can go ahead and change the margins and the padding and the spacing, and Systemi will keep track of both. So they'll have your mobile version and you'll have your desktop version as well. The only other thing to note here is with your sections, and we'll come down here, you'll see size and position. You can actually change the width. So if you want elements to go all the way full page, or you just want to have them be wide, medium, or small. So for example, if I clicked extra small, you can see everything in this section is going to be squished together. For the most part, with your sections, just go ahead and leave them wide and you'll be okay. So I'll go ahead and save my changes just in case I mess something up. And finally, if you want to save anything for use on future pages, you just go ahead and select the section that you want to save, and you can click this little save icon, and it will show you a preview of what the section will be saved. You can go ahead and give it a name. You can also create master blocks. That's a whole another thing where like multiple blocks are connected across multiple pages. So I'll go ahead and exit that out. And with that, you are all set and ready to start designing inside of Systemi, whether you're working on your landing page or any page for that matter. So let's go ahead and dive into building our landing page. Let's start with our headline. That's grabbing attention right at the top. We need a headline that clearly and quickly communicates the benefits of whatever our lead magnet offer is for our landing page. So here's the formula I like to start off using. And of course, you can use lots of other formulas, but this is a go-to one for me. So how to result in the next time frame, and then we say without roadblock. And so this is a really quick and easy headline to promise a result and then remove or break a roadblock, and then add that little extra persuasion by saying, hey, by the way, it's way closer than you think, right? Which is also an important part of the lead magnet psychology. We're giving them a really quick win, but we'll leave that for when you're figuring out what your lead magnet should be. So as moving on with this example here, the first thing we would do is just make a list of results or things people can enjoy or accomplish as a result of downloading your lead magnet. So let's say I'm a Facebook ads agency. I always use this example now. And so I would just make a list of results that they might get by downloading our lead magnet. And then I'd make a list of roadblocks. So these are things that our ideal customer thinks is getting in the way of enjoying those list of results that we listed out. And then for the time frame, it's probably going to be in minutes or hours. Obviously, you don't want to say over the next 90 days for a free offer. That's just too long to see value. And depending upon the type of funnel setup you have, you need someone to get value out of the lead magnet now so that they're ready to purchase in the next 15 minutes or even the next couple of days. So more on that and copywriting tutorials linked up in the cards in the description. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to, for time purposes, jump over to one of our paid offers here. Then I'll come over to our page here. I'll go ahead and hold Command-Shift-V on Mac or Control-Shift-V on Windows so that I keep the formatting of where I'm pasting. So if I were to just Control-V, this is what it would look like. I'd lose the blue color. And then I'll go ahead and click bold. And then I'll make sure that there is no spacing here. So Again, you don't want to manually click enter on anything. And so this is what the headline looks like with the current margin settings and padding settings that I have. Well, that doesn't look too great. I like having things kind of a reverse pyramid. So to match what I have in my template here, that's part of a paid offer, you can learn more about that in the description below to help with your copywriting and leverage AI. What I'll go ahead and do here is I will come over to margin, and I'm going to remove the margin that I have. And honestly, I would play around with this a lot more because I want the headline to look like this. And so there are two things I would do. I would just cheat and I would hit enter because I think no desktop screen size is going to be so small that it's going to mess this up. But I also need to come over to mobile, and you'll see because I've hit enter, it does not look good on mobile. I want to take it back here, and then of course I go to desktop, and it doesn't look right again. And so this is kind of like one of the downsides of manually hitting enter, because when you manually hit enter, you're just going to end up being this endless loop. Like, I want it to look this way, and then I want it to look, this way, or I want it to look this way. So what you'll have to do is play around with margin. And so we'd come down here, I'd click on margin, and then I'd start, putting in like 100 one direction and then 100 the other direction, and trying to figure out if there's a way I can get it where I like the way the text looks. Now, for time purposes, I'm not going to drag us through that. I'm just going to leave it with no margin whatsoever and let it just sit, let spend just awkwardly sit there. Because as much as I want to hit enter to make it look better, if I do that on mobile, which is where most of our traffic is going to be coming from, it's not going to look all that great. So we'll go ahead and leave that alone. So that does it for our setting up our headline. Now, next we have, of course, building some interest in what we have to offer. So we have a picture of our lead magnet and we have our bullet points. So let's go ahead and start off with our lead magnet. Now, this is something we made in the free version of Canva. And so that's where we make most of our lead magnet images. They have these 3D mockups now too. So you can make it nice and professional. It's really easy to make. So once you have your lead magnet image, we can go ahead and click on media here. I could click and drag it in. And then of course you can upload a file. You could go to your images. I'll go ahead and select our lead magnet image here. Click on insert. So now we have two. Now, when it comes to the image options, you can of course go ahead and change the image size. And let's say if we change the image size, we could change the alignment of where it shows up. So maybe we want it over here for some reason. Now, something else that's really cool is you can go ahead and add a blur effect to the image. So if you have like a preview of a video or something, or you're trying to build some curiosity, you could go ahead and blur the image a little bit. If you are offering a lead magnet that's a template, a report, a resource guide, some sort of text-based lead magnet, just actually show what it looks like, right? But maybe you have a video and there's some cool graphic or diagram in it, and you've done a screenshot for your lead magnet image, then you could go ahead and, I clicked out there. You go ahead and add a slight blur to it, right? So it kind of adds a little bit of intrigue or mystery. You also have the option to play with shadows, but I find that most of them don't work out too well, even though this is a PNG file. So I'll go ahead and just have no shadow whatsoever. And of course we can change it. So I can say this is not available on mobile. And then if we go to the mobile preview, you only see the one lead magnet. So I'll jump back over here and I'll go ahead and delete that and leave that alone. So now let's talk about our bullet points. Now, of course, this could be a video in and of itself. So let's just go ahead and jump into one bullet point example so you can kind of see how this would play out. And I'll go ahead and start with number 2. Now, remember the whole point of our bullet points, whether we're using 3 or 5, odd numbers work best because human psychology and reasons. So for our 3 bullet points here, number 2, we always want to make sure that we are focused on what our customers are struggling with and what they care about, not talking about how awesome our lead magnet is, right? So we don't want to just list out a bunch of features. So here's an example on how to make sure that we can talk about our lead magnet, but we always connect it back to something our ideal customer cares about. So I don't know what that meant. That was like supposed to be a loop or something. It didn't work out. Anyway, all right, pretty graphic to distract from my awkward hand symbols. So here we go. Peek behind the curtain at our power word mechanism so you can result. I'll rapid fire through this so we don't turn this into a copywriting class here. So then, of course, we would start by brainstorming some power words. Here's some basic ones, things like new, ultimate, secret, best performing, proven. And then mechanisms are a descriptor of our lead magnet. So it's like a piece, or we're giving a name to something in our lead magnet. So this is like a strategy or a framework or a method. So we're saying campaign structures to quickly communicate. They're going to know how to organize their campaigns. And then, of course, we're going to make a list of results that they want. This could be the exact same list of results that you made for your headline, right? You can just pull a different result. So in this particular instance, it could be copy them for yourself, double your return on ad spend, maximize your ad spend, or even build winning campaigns in minutes. And so we here just say copy them for yourself, right? So our end bullet point here is peek behind the curtain at our highest performing campaign structures so you can copy them for yourself. Again, link in the cards in the description to a full-blown copywriting guide. And of course, when you download this template, the copywriting frameworks are right here. You can just plug and play. So again, to save us some time, I'm going to grab some bullet points that are already pre-written, and I will go ahead and click enter to drop them in. Now, you'll notice here that they didn't come in properly, so I can click Control-Shift-V or Command-Shift-V, and then it's going to pull it in properly, and I'm actually going to have the bullets that I want. Now, you'll see that it pulled it in all bold. I don't want that, so I'm going to unbold them. Something that you can do is you can bold specific parts of the bullet point to really call out the key roadblocks that are being broken, or call out the key results. So in this particular instance, I would go ahead and bold eliminate wasteful clicks, highest performing campaign structures, which is technically actually bolding a mechanism, but so you can copy them for yourself. Wouldn't really make sense if someone was just skimming through the bullet points. And then we'll say craft high converting ads. So we want them to make sense if someone is just quickly browsing through. And of course, for some reason, that guy didn't actually delete. All right, here we go. Now, if you want to make your bullets from scratch, we can come over here, click on the bulleted list. We'd go ahead and drop them in, and then we would select. Of course, first thing we'd do is change the font size. Maybe we want to make it 28. The line height changes the spacing in between the bullets. And then we also have a lot of symbols. Now, please don't go crazy with these, right? Systemi has a lot of symbols here, but only choose ones that would make sense and that aren't distracting from the main call to action of our page. So as an example, if we were a law firm, then it would make sense to use these, right? But some of these other symbols, like a Band-Aid, if we're not selling something related to medical or I guess fixing cuts and bruises, then it probably wouldn't make sense to have Band-Aids, and you might actually start hurting your conversions because people are looking and going, what is that? And actually, if this was related to medical, I probably wouldn't use those because it's not instantly recognizable. So I'll go ahead and delete that, and that completes the section for, of course, building interest. Now, creating some desire down here, or right below our headline, it would be a great opportunity to showcase media appearances we may have paid for in the past, or maybe gotten organically, but most of them are paid. And then number 2, some customer testimonials. Now, if you have testimonials, you could come over here to blocks and click on testimonials and just drop in one. Actually, my personal favorite, I think, is this last one I use quite a bit. And so whether or not you have testimonials, we of course can always quote ourselves. And so if you don't have one, this is something that I literally just started doing because way back when I was first getting started, and even now, we publish a lot of things that no one has ever used before, or I just haven't made the time to collect testimonials. It's actually quite a process. So especially if you're trying to get a testimonial for something that someone got for free, they kind of go, why are you asking me for a testimonial? This was free. Why are you asking me to do work, right? So here's a quick and easy formula you can use to create your own self-quotes. And even though we're talking about ourselves, we're still going to loop it back around. I'll just do this. It makes no sense, but we're looping back around to our ideal customer. So it starts off with verb, aka the action that we took that was challenging for us until we started using mechanism, which is something in the lead magnet, or you could just say the lead magnet itself. This is a strategy, a framework, and then to power word, result. And so as an example, we have understanding Facebook metrics was challenging for me until we started microfiltering to drown out the noise and hone in on the few KPIs that actually drive sales. So in this particular instance, I'm talking about something that they're most likely struggling with, which is understanding Facebook metrics, which can be overwhelming if you're never looked in an ads account before, and then give a name to a process or a system or a way of thinking that allowed us to overcome that result. So I literally made this up. It's called microfiltering to drown out the noise and hone in on what they actually care about because they're overwhelmed. So we're going to help you not be overwhelmed. That's literally all we're saying here with just a little bit of persuasion and copywriting flair, if I do say so myself. So let's go ahead and actually complete our landing page. So again, I have this all set up. So I'll just go ahead and copy, drop that in here, and then I'll leave the name and title alone. Now for the image here, I just went ahead and used an image element. And this is a simple 2-column row. So you can go ahead and click if you want to make your self bigger or smaller. And for the image itself, if I go ahead and come to my library here, you'll see that we actually had to pre-format these as circles. So if I go ahead and select myself, this image itself, we already made it a circle, and you can easily do this inside of Canva for free. So I'll go ahead and delete this stock photo one, click OK, and we'd go ahead and leave it like that. We could always, of course, decrease the image size if we wanted, probably bring it down like that. We do want to make sure that the text is the feature, not necessarily putting a giant picture of ourselves. All right, so now we are one step away from being done with our landing page. Well, 1.25, but we'll get to the 0.25 in a moment. First, the fun part, the thing we've all been waiting for. Well, maybe you haven't been waiting for it, but it is the opt-in form. So if you go ahead and click on blocks and you go to opt-in forms, there are some that are already pre-formatted because this can get a little confusing, but we're going to go ahead and build it from scratch so you can see how this was put together. So the first thing I recommend doing is figuring out where you're going to put it and actually start with a row element. So I'm going to build this right on top of this other one. Then for the row element, I'm going to go ahead and select a background color. We're going to do a very ugly gray. Maybe we can make it a little less ugly. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the elements that I need in order to make an opt-in form. So for opt-in forms here, we need an input and we need a button. So first I'm going to click and drag the form input. And then when I click on the form input, I will go ahead and select the type. You can see there's all types here, and you can even do some custom stuff. But we are just going to stick with the email because that's all we need. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it at email. And then the next thing I'm going to need is a button. So I'll go ahead and grab button. I will click and put it right under the element here. And when we click it, you'll see that we will have all sorts of options in terms of the call to action. You could have subtext. I don't like subtext for these types of buttons. And then, of course, we can change the background if we wanted. And then, of course, we'd go ahead and also we can play with the rounding of the corners and all sorts of stuff that you can play with, and you don't need to sit here watching me play with it, right? So all of you even have hover effects too. Like you could seriously spend an hour just playing with the button. And that's okay, because once you figure out what type of button you like, then you can save it and use it on all your other pages too. Just make sure that it is a color that stands out. So in this particular instance, I'm using blue in everything, and I made the button color a much brighter blue so it stands out. But this is probably about as close to, as similar as you'd want to everything else on the page. Ideally, you'd want it to have it be some sort of orange, some sort of color that really stands out, except for red, because red universally means stop. So don't use that color. But any other color probably works just fine as long as it's legible. So the key here is if we click on the button, you'll see action when button is clicked. By default, it's selected submit form because this template the page type that we're using is a landing page. So this is where it becomes really important that we selected squeeze page as the page type. I know I say landing page, Systemi says squeeze page. They're the same thing. I think they should just change it to landing page, but here nor there, right? So this is why it's important that you choose the correct page type, because by submitting form, now Systemi knows that when someone hits submit, take all that information, ship it over to your email list, and that's a whole nother series of automations and things. And then, of course, the button will automatically put someone to the next step in your funnel process. And again, email is all we need for this. So that does it for the last real step. Now, step 2.5, I am not a lawyer. I'm not giving you legal advice at all, but I will say that when it comes to Facebook and Google and running any sort of paid advertising, you should go through their terms of service because they do require you to have some sort of disclaimers and even links to privacy policies and terms of service, and sometimes even more earnings disclaimers. So whatever they want you to have, that's what you need to make sure you have down here. So there may be different rules or regulations for your niche or industry depending upon the subjects or things that you're talking about. So again, I'm not speaking to any sort of legal advice, but I do know as a marketer, when you start running paid advertising, Facebook and Google, they definitely want some legal jargon down here. So make sure you have that covered. And so with that is our landing page. I'll go ahead and delete this ugly thing. Okay. And then if you want to preview your wonderful design, all you have to do is click on this little eye here, and it will create a mock-up of your page. So this is what our landing page looks like. It actually wound up putting everything on on 2 lines here. Again, I would probably play with the text to try and get it to 3 so it's not so spaced out. But as you can see, we were able to put together a landing page that is ready to convert. And really, this simple design, just like you saw at the beginning, like these simple pages convert 40, 50, even 60% on organic traffic. And we have simple pages like these with some testimonials converting over 40% with Facebook ads. Now, when it comes to your sales page, there are actually 3 different ways to deploy it. So let's go through them and the small differences. At the end of the day, we'll be using the same simple 4-part conversion framework. Now, the traditional method of using a sales page as part of a sales funnel is we'll have a landing page, we'll have a thank you page, and then we'll have our emails drive traffic to our sales page. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is instead of having a thank you page, we use something called a one-time offer page or OTO page in place of the thank you page. And this is essentially a sales letter that says, hey, you have the next 15, 24 minutes to purchase this awesome offer at this super low discount. Now, the third one is the strategy I personally like to use because I don't have time to make a bunch of different offers, and it gives people about 48 hours to take us up on that one-time deep discount. Now, the key here is the timer has to be real. More on that later. Now, when it comes to creating your sales page, you'll be able to use the same conversion framework for both types. And if you want to skip ahead and you don't want to go through the conversion framework, you don't need the copywriting, then here's the timestamp to do that. Otherwise, let's go through this. Now, when it comes to creating your sales pages, I like to use a very simple framework called AIDA. It stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. And yes, it is the exact same one I use on our landing pages. If it converts and works, just keep using it, or something that would be a lot more catchy if GPT had helped me out with that one. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump through this. So at the very top here, we're going to have our attention section. And so this is actually made up of 3 elements. And the whole point of this section is to do one thing: compel people to actually read the sales letter. And that's it. We also acknowledge if someone has opted in, right? So if this is an OTO page, we have a special little section to let people know, hey, your lead magnet's on the way. Check out this awesome thing below. And then right below that, we have the countdown timer. So if you have an OTO page, you'll have that little section at the top. And then normal sales pages, just take away the little opt-in bridge, and it's the same formula from here. So the countdown timer will either be 15 to 24 minutes, or it could be 24 or 48 hours. 48 is probably the max, and maybe 10 or 15 is probably the minimum. So I realize it's a long range. You're like, wow, 10 minutes or 2 days. But essentially, it just depends on how you want to design your funnel. Again, personally, I do the 48-hour method because I like getting funnels done quickly, and I don't have time to make a bunch of offers to test, right? And so underneath that is going to be the real kind of meat of this particular section, and that's going to be your headline, where we are addressing a big result that our ideal customers want, or we're addressing a big roadblock that's standing in their way and saying, we can remove this roadblock for you so you can get the results that you want. And so that's all we have to do with our headline, right? So that's our grabbing attention. We're compelling them to just spend the next 10 or 15 minutes checking out our page, right? We don't have to do all the sales up there. Pretty much be impossible, right? So underneath that, we have our interest section. So here we can have a picture of the offer, or we could have a 3 to 5 minute mini VSL. You can definitely, especially if it's under $25, you can just launch with a picture and then make the VSL later. You'll notice as we go through this, I am a huge proponent of just get it done and then make it better later, right? And then underneath that, you will want to have at least 5 or 7 bullet points that go through the specifics of the offer and really dives into what's in the offer and how it helps them achieve the results that they want and overcome and break the roadblocks that are standing in their way to the results that they want. And so that's all we need to do with this section. And then next, we want to, of course, create some desire. And part of creating desire is showing social proof, showing that there are other people in a similar situation that our ideal customers are in that have enjoyed the success and results that our ideal customers want. Now, if you don't have testimonials, you can go ahead and just quote yourself at the very bottom of the page. That's why I like having that section there. But when it comes to sales pages, testimonials really do go a long way. Even if the testimonials are just about you or your company, as long as you don't misrepresent the testimonials are about that specific product, make it clear that they're just about you and your company, especially if it's a new product. That's something that we like to do because if it's a new product, no one's used it yet, right? So we only have testimonials about people who've worked with us in other ways, right? So that's totally okay as long as that's clear. Then we have driving action. And so here, what we need to do is first remove the risk of purchase. And I realize this is a little controversial because a lot of people go,
well, I don't want to give a money back guarantee because people are just going to steal and take advantage of it.
Yes, people will still steal and take advantage of it even if you don't have a money back guarantee. So you might as well enjoy the conversion bonus boosting that comes from having a money back guarantee. Conversion bonus boosting. Wow, I'm not doing well with these rhymes or alliterations. So anyway, once you have that, I also really like having the checkout right on the sales page. This also makes it easier from a technical standpoint because that countdown timer goes to 0 and then everything goes away. I'm sure you've probably gone to checkout pages before where the sales page had a countdown timer, but the checkout page didn't. And so like you can go get Black Friday deals like 3 months from now. Probably shouldn't have said that, but that's something you can try because a lot of people forget to turn off their cart pages. They just turn off the sales page that was linked in the email. So if you're like, what on earth are you talking about? Don't worry about it. The point is having the checkout page, the checkout section on your sales page makes things a whole lot easier. And of course, as a quick little bonus, if you have a small ticket offer lying around, you can include that as an order bump. Someone just clicks the box and then it's automatically added to their order. No extra tech stuff needed to do this if you use Systemi or pretty much any other popular funnel builder here. And so that does it for the ADA framework and the major sections of our sales page. Now, if you want to skip ahead, you're not interested in all the sales copywriting formulas for this, here's the timestamp to jump straight into the page building. Otherwise, let's look at some copy. And let's kick things off with grabbing attention at the top of our sales page, making a bridge between our landing page and lead magnet to the offer we're making now, if it's an OTO page, that oh so powerful countdown timer and deep discount, and of course, our headline. So we'll go through an actual headline formula and a very simple way you can use this formula and other formulas to quickly brainstorm, or at least get AI started for you, right? On the right track. Because we've all tried to use AI to write sales copy and it's still a little weird. So we'll figure it out from here. Now, when it comes to the first part of the section it's going to be your opt-in bridge. There's no magic here. We literally just say, check your inbox in 5 minutes. I've seen some sales pages say 10 or 15 minutes, but I think that's a little silly because we all know it doesn't take 10 minutes to send an email. So maybe saying 5 minutes is believable enough where you're like, okay, yeah, sure, it'll show up in 5 minutes. I have a little bit of time to check this out. That's all we're trying to do here. And then, of course, this particular example says video because I like having videos. You can obviously tell I like recording videos, despite the background noise sometimes. But if you just have a text sales letter, then you can just say something effective, special offer below, because let's face it, as soon as they see the countdown timer, they know it's a sales page, right? Everybody knows what a sales page looks like by this point. Or there's another formula you can use, and you can say, learn how to, and then fill in the blank with something that you're going to talk about in the sales letter that's going to help them achieve a result. You'll notice that I keep saying results and roadblocks. So anyway, one of the places you're not going to say results or roadblocks is going to be this next part, is your countdown timer. Now, of course, if you are doing the OTO page method and this is like right now you buy or you never see it again, then just set the timer to 10 or 15, 24 minutes max. And if they don't take you up on the offer, then they don't take you up on the offer. I'll have a little rant on this in a moment. And then for the discount, you're going to want this to be really big and compelling. Like this is part of what helps grab that attention and give people a reason to read now. Because when it comes to selling even services, but mostly, especially digital products, one of the biggest things in getting people to take action is, well, why don't I just wait until I think I really need it, right? If they think, oh, well, I'll get to that next week or I'll get to that next month, we all know life happens, they won't. And so we need to give people a compelling reason. No, this is why you should purchase this here, even if you don't think you're going to, use it this week. Please don't wait till next week because then the price is going to be full price again, right? So we're just giving them a real reason to purchase now versus just putting it on the back burner, aka completely forgetting about our awesome offer. And so this works really well as long as the offer is under $50 for a one-time offer page. And so we want it to be an impulse buy and just make sure the discount's over 50% and you're good to go. Now, I do have a quick little rant here about the countdown timer, so bear with me. We've all been to those sales pages where we see the timer, and then maybe we accidentally refresh the page, or we go, this really isn't for me, and then you come back maybe just a day, sometimes a month later, and then you realize the countdown timer is the exact same. Now, pretty much all funnel builders allow you to do this. I just think it's wrong on many levels, but also it's actually going to hurt your conversions in the long run because you're going to train your audience that you just lie about your timers. And that's not going to help your conversions because then every time someone sees a timer from you, they're just going to think, oh, I can refresh the page and it's going to come back. So it's not real. And so I really strongly recommend that you make sure that your timers are actually real and you stick to them. I know every once in a while we get people who ask like, hey, can I please get the thing at the timer price? And I honestly say no. Our support team just says, no, the timer's real. So please wait till, 3 months down the road when we do the promotion again. So I'll get off my soapbox there. Just please use real timers. If nothing else, it's really going to help your long-term success in building your brand and not looking like all those other people who just fake their timers because they're trying to make a quick buck. So now that I'm off that soapbox, let's roll up our sleeves and actually do some copywriting. So here's the formula I like to use for sales pages. Of course, there's lots of different ones, but this is the one I like to start with. The power word way to result without roadblock. And we're actually going to start in the middle with the result and then build the rest of our headline around it. So Similar to any other copywriting process you've seen on this channel, we're going to start by making a list of results. So just make a list of all of the results that your ideal customer wants and that your product actually delivers. And actually, sometimes we've made this list and we've changed what's in the product just so we can make the headline sound better, right? There's totally okay. It's the advantage of digital products. Just make sure you're not making stuff up. So as an example here, let's say I am a Facebook ads agency, always my go-to example here. And so if we make a list, people who are trying to run Facebook ads, they probably want to be more profitable. They want more leads and followers. They want their campaigns to be better. And they probably want to stop wasting their budget on bad ads. All right, great. So out of this list, we could go ahead and say our result is going to be design winning campaigns. And if this sounds oversimplistic, don't worry, by the time we're done with this formula, you go, oh, wow, it really is that easy. Hopefully. Or you could comment below and be like, Jason, this example makes no sense at all. Thanks for not helping. So anyway, we could have just as easily said the way to get more leads or increase sales or lower ad spend. You just want to play around with it. And of course, after you have just a little bit, just brainstorm for 5 minutes and then use AI. Your results will be so much better if you just put a little bit of effort in the beginning and get AI to go in the right direction. And then we want to make a list of roadblocks. That is, we know what they want. So what do they think is getting in the way? What are the giant roadblocks? That's why I like calling them roadblocks. And so we'll make a list of those, and then we'll decide which one is the biggest, most annoying, arduous, or painful right now. We can address all of these results and roadblocks later in our sales page when we're making our bullet points, and we'll pretty much do this exact process. But here we want to pick the big ones because we're trying to compel people to digest and read our sales letter. And so in this particular example, I have business owners are frustrated with, endless tutorials, and they're probably frustrated with their spend, right? And you can see how results and roadblocks can kind of feel the same with, on the one point, they want to have a better budget, and then on the other hand, they're tired of wasting money. So sometimes it's two sides of the same coin. So anyway, here, now I have way to design winning campaigns without costly experimentation. And then finally, we have power words. So here are a list of power words. This just adds some oomph to your headline, like new, best, proven, ultimate, those types of words that just add some weight to whatever it is you're talking about. So our end headline here would be the proven way to design winning campaigns, without costly experimentation. And so we're saying you're going to design winning campaigns. We could probably be more specific with what is a winning campaign? But for time purposes, we'll leave that alone. And without, costly experimentation, which implies you're going to stop wasting your money on seasoning your pixel, which used to be a thing that was painful, or just wasting money on bad campaigns, trying to figure out what design or what strategy is the best. And so that does it for writing your headline. Just spend 15 minutes playing around with this. Then AI can take and fill in the blanks for you, right? So the next part is going to be building interest. And this is where we're going to have our product image, or optionally, we can have a sales video here. And then of course, we're going to have our bullet points. And so our bullet points are all about essentially longer versions of our headline is a great way to put it. And we're just saying, hey, our product has this in it that allows you to get this result or allows you to break this roadblock. And that's it. And we'll actually cover the simple 4-part VSL framework later, so you can check that out if you want to do a actual video sales letter as part of your sales page. So let's go ahead, jump into a bullet point formula here. The template linked up in the description as part of the funnel pack has a bunch of these already set up for you that you can just fill in. I'm going to go ahead and choose one. Peek behind the curtain at our power word mechanism so you can result. And so just like we did with the headline, we're going to start by filling out the result. We already made a list of results, so let's just go ahead and choose a different one than the headline and plug that in. Here, I'm going to say confidently scale, and then we want to explain what will allow them to confidently scale. Now, this isn't where we say, okay, we're going to use this method, or I'm going to, start explaining exactly how to do it, right? We just want to give them a hint as to what allows them to get the result that they want. And this is what is called a mechanism, right? So this is going to be a feature of your offer. So here's a list of mechanisms. It is kind of the really standard, especially if you are doing a digital product. It's going to be a formula, a method, a system, a strategy. And so you can also name your formula, method, system, strategy, or template. And that way you kind of create some curiosity around it as well. So in this particular instance, I didn't give it a name. I just say campaign structure. So campaign structure, you're going to get campaign structures, and this feature will allow you to confidently scale, right? So I could have just as easily given the campaign structures a more proprietary name. Like for example, in one, we did like the 3P squared method, and that is essentially just a consulting model, right? But we give it a name because it makes it sound a lot more important. And of course, it creates some curiosity as well. Again, we're not making anything up here. We're just helping people understand what's in our product and how those different individual components are going to allow them to get the results that they want. Probably talked too long on that, so let's go ahead and move on. Finally, we use a power word or phrase to spice up the bullet, and so our final bullet reads, peek behind the curtain at our highest performing campaign structures so you can confidently scale. So I'll leave a link in the cards and the description to a much deeper dive copywriting guide that goes through lots more bullet point formulas and headline formulas. For time purposes, we're just going to, move on. And again, the template linked up in the description has pages where all of these formulas are there. You just plug them in. So now let's go ahead and talk about creating some desire. And the second to last section of your sales page is going to use the power of story, social proof, social proof, and empathy to sell your product or service. Now, of course, the best thing here is obviously testimonials about your product. It really does go a long way, even if you only have a couple of them, of other people in a similar situation to your ideal customer who have taken this product and started to achieve or have achieved the same results your ideal customer cares about. Now, a second thing you can do here is have some testimonials of people who've worked with you in the past or purchased other products or services. Please just make it clear that that's what they're talking about and they're not talking about this specific product or service. I've also seen other people's funnels as well, because we do a lot of swipe file building. That's just analyzing other funnels. And we will see like the same 5 testimonials across 10 different products. It's kind of ridiculous. So anyway, a distant third is using a formula like this to do a self quote. So you essentially say, hey, I was in a similar situation. I used this, strategy, formula, technique, method, or I used, this way, and I was able to achieve these results. And of course, the results you achieved should be very similar to that list of results you made earlier that your product delivers, and of course, your ideal customers want to achieve. So you can see here, even when we're doing quotes, talking about our own story, we are always looping it back. I'm just going to do this ridiculous thing, looping it back to our ideal customer. And so that's what we want to do with this quote section. But after saying all that, real testimonials are always going to be the best way to create desire. Now, the last part of our sales page, unless you're going to be doing a VSL, we can get to that later, is going to be action. And there's 2 main parts here. Obviously, there's going to be your checkout function or the button to your checkout page. That's pretty self-explanatory, so we'll skip that for now. And we will just talk about the guarantee. So unless you have a really compelling reason, or you are ready to roll up your sleeves and fight with some credit card companies over a $50 charge, please just give a guarantee. I see so many comments of people concerned about piracy, about theft, about abuse of the guarantee, and those are all 100% true and 100% warranted. We get emails every month of people, and we can see they went through the entire course in one day and then told us that it stunk and they wanted a refund. But for every one of those, there's 100, 200 customers who were happy, and you never really know how many people purchased just because they had the safety of the money back guarantee. I can tell you from personal experience, there's a lot of stuff I don't purchase because I don't have the money back guarantee. And really, as great as our sales pages are, people are still taking a big risk actually trusting us because let's face it, there are a lot of terrible courses out there, right? So when it comes to digital products, there's probably more bad ones than good ones. And so this is just a great way to boost your conversion rates. You're really not missing out. And those people who are going to abuse this will abuse it whether you have a guarantee or not. So you can use this simple formula to create your kind of ironclad or triple level guarantee, if you will. And this is essentially just saying, hey, if you don't like it for any reason, you can go ahead and refund it. Now, if you're doing physical products or services, yeah, you probably don't want to have such a loose guarantee. And I can tell you personally, when I ran an agency, we did not do guarantees on services at all. As soon as I have to pay an employee, I'm not giving you a refund because I'm not going to go to the employee and say, hey, the client just didn't like your work, right? So unless you're doing services, you could probably have some form of a reasonable guarantee. Probably spent too much time on that. So let's go ahead and move on to a little bonus here, and that's going to be your order bump. And so inside of your checkout process, you can include this little thing where you say, hey, the $5 or $10, I've seen order bumps as high as 17, but I guess they work, where they can just check a box and they can also add that to their order. So that's another optional thing you can have if you happen to have the checkout this whole checkout form on your sales page, like I recommend. And so that does it for the ADA framework applied to your sales page. Again, if you'd like to skip the copywriting and jump into building the page, here's the timestamp to do that. Otherwise, let's talk about the optional Hawk VSL formula that you can use at the top of your sales page to really kick it up a notch. All right, so at the top of your sales page, normally you'll just launch with an image of your product. But once you've done all the work of writing a sales page, you probably have enough to go ahead and put together a quick 3 to 5 minute video. No, we don't have to show our face. It can all be slides. I can tell you from personal experience, trying to memorize any sort of video stinks. I always paraphrase these, for example. You could probably tell because I ramble quite a bit. Speaking of rambling, let's get back to the point. So this video will just replace that image at the top, and it's designed to hook your ideal customers in, demonstrate your authenticity, deliver a quick little workshop, and then, of course, kickstart them to action. And with these highlighted words, the acronym is HAWK. Now, why HAWK? Because I was just trying to come up with something I thought sounded cool, and I was playing with different copywriting frameworks, and Hawk kind of stood out. So let's go ahead and run with it. So let's talk about hook, right? So when it comes to hooking our ideal customers in, this is going to be the first 90 seconds of our video, and we're going to do 3 things. We'll start with a simple enrolling question, asking them if they have the problem that our product solves. And then we go ahead and define what the problem is, and then we agitate a little bit because we need people to take action today. And so instead of just saying, hey, do you have this problem? This problem causes XYZ, we say, and if you don't fix it now, it's also going to cause ABC. Now, you could fill it in with like real words, but that's essentially what we're doing here. We're asking an enrolling question, defining what the problem is, and then agitating it by saying, hey, this is going to get worse if you don't solve it. So that does it for our hook. So next we have authenticity. This is the part where, like you're watching a webinar and they like go on for 30 minutes about how awesome they are and all the things they've accomplished. And you just like, this is a snooze fest. So we don't want to do that to people. And this is a 3-minute video instead of a 3-hour webinar. So here we have like, let's say 60, 90 seconds max, where we are going to do a humble introduction, and we just have to demonstrate that we know what we're talking about, right? We just need to show some sort of quick proof that we have some level of authority for what we're about to deliver in our workshop and, of course, in whatever offer that we're making. And so this definitely doesn't need to turn into a brag snooze fest. And that's why I like keeping this section as short as possible so we can get into the next section, which is the workshop. And this is going to be the bulk of your content. This is where you might have 2 to 3, maybe even 3.5 minutes. If you have 4 minutes, then you're way too long and the video is longer than 5 minutes anyway at this point. So all we want to do is either deliver a quick explanation as to what they need to do to achieve the results that they want, not how, but what. We're just giving them an overview. It's a 3-minute video. We don't have time to get into the details. Or we could show some sort of product demonstration and how whatever it is we have to offer will help them achieve the results that they want. And through that demonstration, they see what they need to do. And so this is really important. So as an example, we have a Google Ads launch kit, and part of it talks about how we go about structuring campaigns so that we get a good combination of ads and keywords and lower cost per clicks and all that other fun stuff. But inside there, we actually share our formula for what we do. Now, do we go into each intricate detail of like, we do this keyword and we do that ad? Like, no, we only have 3 minutes again. But if someone doesn't purchase, they know our general methodology and they could actually understand what we do, and they could actually go start applying that methodology. And so one of the things that I've noticed too in trying to teach other students how to do this is there's this fear that, oh no, I'm going to give too much away. You literally can't give too much of your product away in 3 minutes. It's physically impossible. So you don't have to worry about holding back here. Like there's some big secret that you have to hold for your course or digital product. You can show what they need to do and your product will still be valuable. So anyway, we'll move on to the final section, which is super easy. Kickstart. We're going to tell them exactly what they want, what we want them to do. We could also have a guarantee in here. I tend not to have my guarantees inside of the VSL because I don't like having stuff that I have to re-record. So if I'm testing like a 30-day or 90-day or versus 60-day, I don't want to have to re-edit the video. So sometimes when it comes to numbers or pricing as well in this Kickstart section, I wouldn't say numbers out loud, just have them on the slides. And that way you can easily change the slides and you don't have to edit the video. Just a quick little tip to save you some time with video editing. Because as you can see with this example, it can be all text slides, all voiceover, and it's really easy to go back to a video and just pop in a new slide as long as you don't have to edit the audio. As soon as you have to edit the audio, then it kind of becomes a nightmare. And that's all there is to it, to writing a quick 3 to 5 minute video using the Hawk VSL formula. So let's jump into Systemi and start building out your sales page. Now, when you grab the free template linked up in the description, you'll see here that we actually have a sales page that's formatted as a order form. And this is because on the free plan, you actually have a page limit. So we did our best to make sure that we condense the funnel as much as possible. So if you are on the free plan, you can maximize its usage. And when it comes to having multiple sales letters, if you want multiple sales letters, then all you have to do is click the 3 little dots and duplicate that, and you can have more than one sales letter. Just remember that if you do, then you also need to have multiple confirmation pages. There's some other intricacies that we'll get to in a moment, but that's all you need to know when it comes to setting up your sales page using the template in the description. So let's go ahead and edit this. And when you open up the template, you'll see here that this is all already laid out for us. All we need to do is drop in our own copy, images, and of course, update some of the colors. So the first thing I like to do with any page that I'm working on, hop over to typography, make sure we got all of our defaults set so we don't have to do the same settings all over again. And then when it comes to SEO, of course, like all funnel pages, doesn't matter, just leave it blank. And then, of course, make sure you open up the header code and add your tracking pixels from whatever platforms you're using, or at the very least, Google Analytics. For this one, if you're on a paid plan, you can actually uncheck this box, and that will make sure that people stay focused on your offer. So I don't want to split people's focus for this particular page. And then when it comes to what we need to edit here, the first thing we need to do is change out all of our colors. Then, of course, we're going to add our images and text and edit our countdown timer. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing, of course, we'll do is we'll come over here, click on any element that's blue, come in and change it to whatever your company color is. And so I'd recommend doing that all the way down. So if for some reason my colors were purple, I'd go ahead and start changing all of the colors here, and I'd even change the font to, whatever our purple color is. Wow, that is bright. So make sure you go ahead and do that first thing. That way we have a nice congruency of colors throughout. 2 colors max, other than black, right? Black, white, and your primary color, and then maybe another color for your button here because you want it to stand out. But after that, you're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and undo all of that because that purple is quite bright. And since I don't need to swap out the logo, I'll go ahead and start here with the opt-in bridge. Now, this is designed, of course, if we are using this right after a landing page. So if you don't need an opt-in bridge, then all you have to do is come over to this row and go ahead and delete it. And then you'll be all set and good to go, right? So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. And to save us some time, I have our copy pre-written here. So I'll just go ahead and copy it, jump back over here, and I'll hit Command-Shift-V on Mac, Control-Shift-V on Windows, so that you match the formatting. And then I'll go ahead and say your Facebook audit arrives in 5 minutes. I'll go ahead and bold that, and then I'll bold this, ROAS. So people know their audit is on the way, and in the meantime, they should check out this cool offer. Next, we have the discount. Now, the discount here, of course, I recommend having it over 50. I think in my example, it's going to be, exactly 50% off. And this just needs to be something big and bold, giving people a reason to keep going down the page. Now let's talk about the countdown timer, because of all the elements on this page, this is probably one of the most complicated. Nope, it is the most complicated. So that's what we're going to start with. So once you click on the countdown timer here, and of course, you can always come over to elements and drag in anything else that you want. But when it comes to the countdown timer, we have a lot of different options. We can have it reset daily, which I don't recommend. You could have it set as your deadline funnel settings. Now, this is something if you have multiple pages that have countdown timers and you want all the timers to be in sync. So this is something that's advanced. I don't even bother with this with our funnels. Honestly, it's a little overkill in my book, but especially if you're doing something like a launch sequence or you have some fancy webinar thing that you saw some big guru doing and you want to try, go for it. But I personally don't use this because on the free plan, we're limited on pages, and this winds up taking more pages than I want. So, and then of course, to fix date and time, like let's say you're doing a Cyber Monday, Black Friday deal, we've done this quite a bit, then you'd go ahead and make sure that you set it for a specific time. But do make sure you check your time zone, right? Because this is going to be based upon your account time zone. So I've had times where I say, it ends at 12, and then, people on the other side of the world are going, hey, it ended at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me. What the heck? So fixed date and time is always fun to play with. So for this instance, I'm going to leave it at delay. Now, what this means right now, 48 hours, is as soon as someone hits this, like let's say they hit it Monday morning, 7 a.m. They have 48 hours from Monday morning, 7 a.m. to take me up on this offer, or the Systemi system is going to lock them out and say, sorry, the offer's expired. So if we fast forward 24 hours, that's Tuesday at 7 a.m., and then another 24 hours is Wednesday at 7 a.m. So they have until Wednesday at 7 a.m. to take me up on this offer. Now, if someone opts in on Tuesday at 7 a.m., they have until Thursday. That's because the countdown timer is based upon when someone sees this page for the first time. Hopefully that makes sense. So, of course, you can set days or hours. I like using hours. I think it's a little more dramatic. And then, of course, minutes. So if this was a one-time offer and I only wanted to give them 15 minutes, I could do something like that. And I'd say like 15 minutes and 3 seconds or something silly like that. And then that way they only have 15 minutes to take us up on this offer. And after that, it is gone. And so the only other thing to note with the countdown timer here is there is a redirect URL. So when the timer expires, we need to send people somewhere. Now, we went ahead and set up this generic offer expired page. Yes, I know it is the most immaculately designed page you have ever seen. Yes, I'm being sarcastic, but the point is we set this up for you because if you're using the free plan, we don't want you wasting a page on an offer expired. So this is a generic thing. You can just leave that URL there. And then in the future, when you upgrade or you want to be more advanced with your free plan, you can go ahead and put in your own URL. And we have a pledge that we will not change this page. Like it will look silly and ugly, but it will work for everyone, and you can at least test out Systemi, use the free plan, and not waste one of your valuable pages on a page that says your offer has expired. So I think that does it for the countdown timer. Probably spent way longer than we needed to. Let's go ahead and hop over to our headline here. So again, I'm just going to grab from one of our course templates here, and I'll go ahead and Command Shift V, Control Shift V on Windows. I'm using a Mac, that's why I just say Command. And then I'll go ahead and grab our headline as well. Now, something to note here, I do this in our products because I like the way it looks, but when you are copying something over, you need to make sure that you don't have any space or actual line breaks in it. So for example, when I mean line break, I mean don't manually hit enter when you're copying something in. So that's why I did that, to make sure that I am copying in things as plain text. And so then I could say exploit the FB algorithm in the next 7 days. That looks good. And then of course to play with the sizing, because I don't want to, like let's say if I did this, if I hit enter, obviously if we go to mobile preview, it doesn't. Systemi, you're making it look good, but then you're making me look bad. It doesn't look terrible, but it still looks silly, right? Like this shouldn't be so spaced. Oh boy, this shouldn't be spaced out, and that just looks silly like that. So what we want to do, of course, is we will go ahead and change the margin. So we'll change the margin here, and we'll probably, oops, that's the top margin. We don't want to change that, but we change the left and right margin. So we'd either expand it so we could get more onto one line. Obviously that didn't work because customers is a really long word. So maybe we try playing with the spacing more, bringing the spacing in and trying to, play with things. But sometimes you'll find that, as in this particular instance, it just kind of looks bad. If you go to mobile preview and you're like, whoa, what is wrong with this? You can go ahead and click the gears icon, and then you can go ahead and start changing the line height. So I'll change the line height to 25, and then that way it looks good on mobile and desktop. Then we'll get to our building interest section. So here we'd either go ahead and upload our product image, and of course you can change the sizing. And if you have a VSL, you can actually upload it directly to Systemi. You don't have to be using Wistia or Vimeo. And so all we need to do for that is find the video. We go ahead and drop that video in here. And then of course we can come over here and say file upload and upload it directly. Please don't use YouTube for your sales videos, because YouTube's going to really distract your viewers by suggesting a bunch of other things. And then of course we have our bullet points section. So to save us some time, I'll just come over here and we will speed up the copy paste. And just like that, we have our bullet points pasted in. Of course, you can always come over here and play with the font sizing, the line height, the vertical spacing. I like keeping the icons very simple so they're not distracting. And then when it comes to bolding your text, I just bold it so I imagine someone just scrolling or skimming through, if it makes sense. I always say scrolling for some reason. So as an example here, if someone isn't reading and they're just looking at what's bolded, they see AI campaigns, eliminate wasted ad spend, focus on high value leads, launch your own buyer campaigns with the same budget you have now, build winning campaigns in minutes, consistently craft high converting ads, only run your ads at peak conversion hours, broke to profitable in 72 hours. So the only thing that I think is a bad thing to bold would be broke to profitable in 72 hours, because it's bold. It sounds cool, but there's no context around it. Whereas all these other bolds make sense without having to read the bullets. So that's kind of a quick way to figure out, like, what should I be bolding? If someone's just skimming through it, will it still make sense? So now we would move on to the, of course, desire sections. And this is going to be where you drop in your testimonials. If you don't have any testimonials, then just go ahead and delete the section and you're good to go. We'd probably go ahead and add some spacing though. So I would go ahead and click on this row, and on the margin, I would just, add 50 or something like that, and we should be good to go. But I'll go ahead and undo that for now, and we'll bring that back. Now, I went ahead and saved changes. Something I forgot to mention here is that this back button really only works 3 or 4 times. So make sure you constantly hit save. And a little editing snafu for us, I had to redo all of this because I actually could not get this back. So do make sure you constantly hit save. And that way, if the undo button stops working for whatever reason, you don't lose too much stuff. So that does it for our desire section. And then, of course, down here, you could go ahead and put your self quote if you wanted to. So I've got a little self quote here. So I just go ahead and drag, get that, and drop it in. And that's a lot of text. So I'd probably come over here, play with margin, and probably add, I don't know, like 50 on either side to center it a little more. And then I'd come up here and probably add a little bit of line height so it's not so daunting. But that is quite a bit of text. So I'll go ahead and click on save. And now we're ready for the Kickstart action driving part of our sales page here. We'll start with our money back guarantee. So I'll come over here, I'll take my money back guarantee text, and all we're essentially saying is, hey, take as much time as you need, and if for whatever reason you don't like it, then just let us know and we'll give you your money back. It's funny, people pretty much expect to get money back guarantees these days, especially with digital products. And we, even before we started offering them, we would still get people just emailing like, hey, could I get a refund for this? Even though we didn't have one. Those conversations are kind of awkward. Be like, actually, this offer didn't have one. That's why it was so cheap. It was pre-launch, but whatever, right? So this is definitely going to help you with your conversions. And of course, we have the checkout section to actually collect that payment information. Now, when it comes to the checkout section of our sales funnel, we have one job to do. Don't screw up the sale. Really, that's it. By this point, someone has probably already joined our email list. They've gone through our sales page. Maybe they've already seen some sales emails, depending upon how we formatted our sales funnel. So we are like on the 1 yard line here. We are about to close the sale, so we're just trying not to mess it up. Now, when it comes to the strategy and structure of your funnel, there's 2 different ways that you can handle this part. The first way, which is the way I recommend, is just have the checkout page essentially just a section of your sales page. Saves some headache, and you might as well have it there anyway. They're already on the page. Let's go ahead and continue the process. Or depending upon your software stack, or maybe you want to send people to a completely different system to do the checkout or get their access, then you might want to have a separate checkout page. Now, either way, we have you covered with the template linked up in the description. You can do it both ways, and you can build it out. So whichever method you decide to use, we have you covered. Now, to make sure our checkout section is in fact securing more sales and reducing cart abandonment, we're going to use the STAR framework. It stands for Secure Seals, Trusting Testimonials, All Access, and of course, risk removal. So let's go ahead, kick things off with the most important one, which is secure access. Look, we need people to view this page as safe and secure. So even though someone's made it this far in a sales process, they probably have a healthy amount of skepticism because they're about to take their credit card and enter it into some random page, right? So we need to communicate that we're not a scam and their information is safe, secure, and not going to be sold. And the easy way to do this is to just have some sort of seals on the page right by the checkout to show that your payment information is secure. Now, if you're doing a payment processor like Stripe, everything's going to be 256-bit encryption. And I actually just used Canva to make some of these graphics and icons. And if you're using Systemi to build your pages, then they will actually show the credit card logos as well. They've actually done research, and showing the credit card logos actually increases conversions and makes people more secure. Of course, I also have a little bit of text under there saying that we're not going to rent or sell their information, right? They buy this one $5 or $6 product, and then the next day their email's like blowing up because we sold it to 12 different people instantly, which is technically against the Can Spam app anyway, but act. I said app, Can Spam app. Act anyway, but we don't have to get into that. So essentially, all that we're doing here is we are saying, hey, your information's secure. We're not stealing it. We're not selling it. And you're not going to get an alert tomorrow morning from your credit card company for fraud. And so that's all we have to do with secure seals here. Then the next step is trusting testimonials. And this is different than testimonials you have in other parts of your sales page and your sales process. Here, these testimonials should be short, sweet, and to the point, right? Like they should be 1 or 2 lines max. We don't want someone clicking on a testimonial video and then spending 10 or 15 minutes going through a bunch of testimonial videos here. So I've seen some sales pages that do that. If you have testimonial videos, awesome. Put them somewhere else. Don't put them here. We want things to be short and sweet, and we're all just trying to communicate to the customer, if I can get it out, all just trying to communicate to the customer that other people have also gone through this checkout process and not been scammed. That's kind of what we're doing here. We're just building as much trust as possible for them to enter their credit card on what they might perceive as a random website. So once we have those testimonials, then we have all access. And here we are just restating what it is that they're getting. Now, this is really key. I'm going to break this rule in a moment, welcome marketing, but do not add anything new. We want zero confusion. So we are literally going to use the same images we used other places in our sales process and sales page. You could literally just copy and paste the description of what they're getting from a different part of your sales page. Have just a quick list of everything that's included. If we have some bonuses, we'll talk about those here as well. And nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, should be new. There's no surprises here whatsoever. Surprises and bonuses and extra things is bad when it comes to this part of the sales process. Except if you have a order bump. And so this is a simple strategy you can use. Pretty much any funnel builder these days allows you to do it. And this is going to be where you have a really, really low ticket, like couple dollars, $10, $15 max offer. This is the only part of the checkout process where you might introduce something new. Everything else, though, will be the same. So then we go into risk removal. And of course, this is making it as much of a no-brainer to purchase your product or service as possible. I am always a huge fan of offering some version of guarantees. So in this particular example, I do like a 60-day money-back guarantee, and make sure it's really clear in your list of what they're getting, listed out like a feature of the product. And then I also used Canva to make this really overly simplistic graphic, right? Saying 30 or 60 days. And so that's all there is to it, to risk reversal. Now, I always get pushback on this, but look, if someone's going to take advantage of it, someone's going to take advantage of it. And we really, as entrepreneurs, do not have time to run around fighting credit card companies when we get chargebacks. So it's better to deal with excessive refunds than waste your time with excessive chargebacks. And if you're not familiar, that's when someone calls up their credit card company and says that you scam them. And because you sell stuff online and they're a consumer, obviously the credit card company will side with the consumer. It's actually a really hard uphill battle. So with that does it for the STAR framework and every element we need to reduce that shopping cart abandonment and hopefully boost those conversions. Now I'm back to our demo funnel here. And when you import this into your Systemi account, you'll actually notice that we don't have a standalone checkout page. We put the checkout section as part of the sales page. So if I jump out of this, you'll see that our sales page is actually using the order form page style. So you, of course, have two options. You can use this where we just have the checkout function on the sales page. But if for some reason you wanted to split them up, here's what you can do. You can go ahead and jump back in here to edit page. And the first thing you're going to want to do is essentially save this top section. Now, the reason we did it this way is because there's limits on the free plan of how many pages you can use. So we thought, hey, why don't we combine these pages? And then for people who upgrade in the future, or if you just want them separate for some reason, you can separate them and use 2 pages instead of 1. So the first thing we want to do is save the section that is the actual sales page. So we've set it up so it's super easy. So all you need to do is click on this first section here. So I'll click on this section. We'll click on save, and you'll see here that it's going to save just the sales page part. And we can go ahead and give it a name, and then we can go ahead and click on create. And then this way you can easily use everything that is formatted for the sales page in the future. So of course I'm not going to do that. I'll X that out. And then if you want to turn this into a standalone checkout page, all we have to do is remove this row. So as soon as I go ahead and remove this row here, section. So if I go ahead and remove this section, I'll go ahead and delete it. You'll see it will automatically pull up the checkout page part of this. And now we just have a checkout page. We can hit save, and we've already gone through how to save that top portion so you can use it someplace else in your funnel. I know it's a little quirky, but it just makes sure that if you want a standalone checkout page, it's really easy to take off the sales page part. But if you want to keep the sales page part, it's also there for you too. So I'll go ahead and not save any of that. And I'll go ahead and click on edit page again so we can go ahead and start setting up our checkout section. And of course, if you decided to create this as a standalone page, everything we're about to go through is the exact same. Now, the first part of our checkout section will be the secure seals. So you can see here, I have a couple right here that we made inside of Canva. You, of course, can go ahead and make your own seals. Like, these are generic things in Canva. I'm pretty sure you can find them and copy them pretty quick, even if you're on the free plan. So I just have a image of 256 encryption because we're using Stripe, 30-day money-back guarantee, which is technically part of your risk removal, and then just I wanted 3. And so I just did the stars thumbs up, right? It doesn't actually mean anything, but what does mean something is we will not share your information. I think it's really important to still include that on pages because sharing of information and email spam really is still a problem. So that does it for your secure seals section. So then we have some testimonials, and you'll see here these are very, very short. All you need to do to update them is click on the image here. You will need to format the image in a circle already. And of course, you can play with the image sizing as well. I'll just go ahead and leave it at 81 because I think that sizing looks pretty good. And what's also nice is when you upload your own images, they should drop in around the same size. And of course, if you have video testimonials, put them in a different section, put them in a different part of your sales process. So that's pretty much it for the testimonials. I'll get to all this desktop only stuff in a moment. And then for all access, we want to, of course, have a image of our offer. If you have a video sales letter at the top and maybe you didn't put a product image anywhere else, just make sure you have some image that represents what the offer is. The offer name, congratulations, the offer name, super basic. You're probably like, why are we even going through this, right? We're just trying not to screw up the sale. Like, that's literally all we have to do here. Just don't screw up the sale. And then we'll get to all the payment stuff because that kind of gets advanced. And then, of course, over here, we have just a couple bullet points summarizing the discount, right? So I like having that timer at the top along with a huge percent discount. So here we're saying the dollar amount that they're saving, a quick little overview of everything that they're getting. And then for the risk removal part, of course, I have a 30-day money-back guarantee that I have here. Actually, on my sales page, it says 90, so I should probably change this to 90 because that is confusing. And then I'd go ahead and type in, 90 days here. Now, before I get to the one thing that we would add here that breaks the rule of trying not to mess up the sale, is you'll see here that all of these elements have been formatted to desktop only. This is really something to think about, especially when you're making your checkout sections. So if I click on mobile here, and I scroll down to our checkout section, you'll see that this part looks pretty nice, but all the bullet points and all the testimonials went away. I might actually even remove my self-testimonial at the bottom. So this is, if you don't have testimonials, this is where, of course, you'd put your self-quote and just put yourself at the very bottom. But I think it's important to make sure that you're always previewing whatever you're making in the mobile view, because here, if we tried to add the testimonials and add all of the summary, I think that would take away too much from just completing the payment form, right? And honestly, someone on a mobile device is much more likely to be doing an impulse buy than like meticulously going through every individual thing on your sales page. So we do want it to be relatively easy and quick for someone to go through that process. But we click again, you'll see all that extra information is on the desktop. Now there is one thing we might want to add, just one, that breaks the rules. So I'm using a two-step form. We'll go through how that works in a moment. But if I go to step number 2, you'll see here I have something called a order bump, right? So this is going to be where for an extra $3, $5, $7, maybe $14, I think that's 14 is probably a little high, but a quick little offer. Hey, you can also get this thing right now. Now, if your one-time offer is a impulse buy, this is like the ultra impulse buy, right? Like this should be so low, it's just like, yeah, whatever, sure, throw it in the cart, right? It's like 50 cents. Well, probably not 50 cents, but that's kind of the price point we're going for here. Now, yes, it still needs to be valuable, and we also need to make sure that someone doesn't look at it and go, I think that should be in what I'm buying. Feels like you're just adding it on because you're trying to get more money. So it really should feel like a nice little add-on bonus. But that's the only new thing we'd want to do. And Systemi, of course, will add some credit card logos for us, which helps with the secure seals and adding some credibility and security to our checkout process. So that does it for all of the elements that we'd want. And using our STAR framework, secure seals, trusting testimonials, and all access, and of course, risk removal. So now let's talk about the complex part, which is this two-step payment form and then actually setting up your payment options. Now, when it comes to the order form, this is actually something unique to this particular page type. So when you are creating your own funnels and not using this template, you need to make sure you select the order form page type when creating your page in order to have these payment options. Again, that is one of the few parts when you're building things that is really important you choose the correct page type. So I'll go ahead and click and drag in this two-step order form so you can see what it looks like before you start doing all the formatting. So the first thing we're going to do, take out all the stuff we don't need, right? We don't need the shipping address, city, state, postal code, unless you're actually physically shipping something. But for us, this is a digital product or even services, you don't need it. So we just go ahead and delete all this information. Just like other parts of your sales funnel, the more information you ask for, the lower your conversions will be. So I'd go ahead and just leave it first, last name, email, and then when I click on this, I'll have to click over here to step number 2 and to be able to see and edit whatever is on step number 2. So the nice advantage of using this two-step checkout is it reduces the initial friction to get started. And it builds on a psychological principle called micro commitments. And that is where we want our potential customers taking small actions that build up over time, as opposed to just like, bam, here's everything at once, fill it out and let's go, right? So it's just kind of baby steps. Also, it allows you to collect their contact information before they've actually purchased. So if for some reason they go through step number 1, but they don't go through step number 2, you can actually have an email automation that goes out to them and says, hey, you forgot to complete checkout. Come back and finish the checkout, which is really cool. Now, you do need to be on the paid plan to do that because you're going to run out of the limitations on automations, but it is something really cool you can do in the future if you decide to upgrade. Now, when it comes to further customizing this form, if you wanted to add another form field, all we'd have to do is head on over to our elements here, and we can go ahead and click and drag form input. And of course, we can move it where we want. And then, of course, we can come up here, click on it first, settings, and tell Systemi what kind of input field it is. And of course, it will be added to our customer's contact information. And so I'll go ahead and delete that. Now, the other thing that we'll want to do, if you want to customize how this looks, you see there's a bunch of extra text. Maybe we don't want all of that. Sub-headlines here, you can go ahead and remove those. So I won't spend too much time because by this point, you've probably figured out how to use Systemi. It's pretty easy. And of course, we already have it pre-formatted for you down here. But you'll notice that this is a order bump element. And just like the order form is unique to this type of page, the order bump element is. So I would put it in step number 2, and I go ahead and click, and I drag the order bump element here, and I will put it right beneath the credit card. And then I'm actually going to move the, if I can actually click it, move the summary of the order down below, because what will happen when you see when we create our payment settings, wow, Systemi, you're making me look really dumb right now. Come on, there we go. It's below. Is this will give a summary. So if they click the order bump, it'll also show them the order bump and their total price. And so we want to make sure that they clearly see the total price before they click the button. And actually the button, I don't like having subtext there for that. So there we go. And so when it comes to order bumps, you'll set up the pricing and everything in a little bit, but this is a basic format that we like to use. And this is just a really easy way to increase your average transaction value. This should be less than $10. I have order bumps that are $5, and I've seen order bumps as high as $17 or $19. I've seen some order bumps that are the same price as the offer, and sometimes they're more. But you know what? Who am I to judge? If it's converting and working, then by all means do it. But for the most part, it's going to be something that's significantly less than what your main offer is selling for. So I'll go ahead and delete that. And so with that, we are all set. We've designed the checkout page or the checkout section of our sales funnel. So now what we need to do, of course, is set up our payments, right? We need to choose how we can get paid. And then we also need to choose the actual pricing. So that's what we'll go ahead and do. I'll go ahead and exit here, and I'm not going to save those changes that I just made. Now, the first thing we need to do is set up our payment processors. So to do that, we'll hop on over to our settings here and click on payment gateways, and then you'll see a bunch of options here. Now, when it comes to the different options, I highly recommend, if you can't use Stripe, try and avoid PayPal, but if you have to use PayPal, oh well, but I wouldn't actually voluntarily use PayPal anymore. It's become quite a headache, and typically, especially with digital products, they almost always side with the customer, irrespective of what your terms of use are. And the refunds gets really murky, right? Because you want people to reach out to you to ask for refunds, but instead they start filing claims with PayPal, then PayPal gets upset, holds your money longer, and it's a mess, right? But also some of these other ones, I recently had a coaching student who found out that some of these other ones have limitations based upon the country you might be in. So make sure that you come up here to help and you go through Systemi's documentation for each one of these, because you may find that you think the payment processor is going to be able to do what you want, but for whatever reason, there might be some limitations that you haven't thought of. I'm lucky, I'm in the States, so I can use Stripe, and Stripe works just fine. Luckily, I haven't had any problems, I shouldn't say any problems. I've had problems with them, but not so many problems where I'd say you got to find something else. And so that's all there is to setting up your payment gateways. So now I'll jump back over to our funnel, and it's time to set up our pricing. So the first one, I'll do it relatively quickly, right? We just click the plus button. If you wanted to connect your course or membership site or a community, that's what you can do under resources. And then we can go ahead and choose a pricing plan that we already have and click on save. Now, of course, if you're doing this for the first time or you want to create a new pricing plan for the same product, then we can go ahead and click the plus button here, and we can actually create a new one. And so this is going to be where you give your pricing plan a name. Now, this name is going to show up on the actual sales page. So it should pretty much be exactly whatever the offer is called. Then this name is your internal one, right? So maybe you have in parentheses version 1 or the actual price point, like the $97 one. And this is the $195 version or whatever, if you're like playing with different combinations of products. Or you might just be testing different price points for the same product. And then the descriptor, this is where you want to be super plain, super boring, take off your marketing hat, take off your sales hat, and just think like an accountant, right? Because this is what's going to show up on their bank statement. So don't embarrass your customers with what you put there, right? I'll have that, we're going through things and you look at it and go, what on earth did you buy, sweetie? So anyway, go ahead and make sure that it's professional, right? And then of course the pricing plan, you choose the type it is. So like, let's say we have a payment plan here, or you want to have a free trial period. My gosh. You can get complex like that. Or we can just go ahead and say a subscription, which also has a trial period, or go down to a one-time payment, and we'll just say this is going to be like $50 or something. And then we could go ahead and click save. So I'll go ahead and exit out of that because we don't need to do that. Now, if you want to have an order bump, you do need to add that information here. So I'll click on Add Order Bump. It's going to be a digital product, and I'll click on Pricing Plan. And of course, I'd need to create a new plan. Now, because I already have one, I'll go ahead and exit out, and I will just use the same pricing plan that I used for the first one here. So they allow me to do that. I'll go ahead and click on Save. And just like that, we've set up our pricing for both of our products. So now if we come to View Funnel Step here and we preview, we can come down to our checkout page or checkout page section, fill out some fake information, click on Continue here. And now you can see there's a place to enter your credit card information. They have the types of credit card processors, the types of credit cards that are accepted. And then what's also cool here is as soon as someone clicks here, you'll see that it will be added to their summary so they can see exactly how much they're about to be charged. Now, this is also important where you need to check your math and numbers, right? So if you're hard coding, if you will, if you're typing in what the price is, you want to make sure that the price here is the same here. And then you also want to make sure that if you have any prices over on the side, you have a % discount, that the percentages make sense, the dollars off make sense, and the totals make sense. So just do that to make sure you don't wind up like me with some embarrassing emails being sent like, hey, by the way, there's a decimal point there, or you divided by 4 when you should have divided by 2. I did that in an email the other month, and I looked and went, wow, yeah, I have no idea what I was thinking. So definitely double check your math. But with that, once you have those payment things set up, you're ready to actually collect payments and start making some sales because your checkout section is complete. Oh, and of course we have our confirmation page. So if we jump back over to our funnel here, this final section, if you want to round out your sales process, we are using the thank you page under the sales section. So this is important. This tells Systemi the sales process is complete, especially if you are going to be using upsells. So for example, if I didn't want to use an upsell, I would just put this order confirmation page right after our order form, and that tells Systemi the checkout process is complete. And here's a quick example of what it looks like. And this is important because it has this product and price element. And this will give them an order summary of all of the main products they purchased, their subscriptions or free trials, as well as any order bumps or upsells they purchased as well. And you can tell it's relatively simple, just telling people, hey, some emails are on the way with access, and then you can either have links to your community groups or socials, or even another funnel that you think funnel offer, just another funnel that has an offer that you think would be helpful to them. And so with that, now we are completely done with our checkout process. Now, right after someone purchases, irrespective of the funnel strategy we use, we want to make another offer. Why? Because we know they're in the buying mood. We know that they're interested in solving the problems that we have. And so why don't we be more helpful and offer them more solutions? Now, there's 2 keys to success here before we dive into ideas and the framework for it and all this fun stuff. Number 1, it should never diminish the value of whatever it is they just purchased. So the last thing you want to do is have an upsell and then people look at it and go, shouldn't that be in what I just bought? Or worse, they go, I thought I just bought that, right? And so the best way to avoid this altogether is key number 2, position it as the logical next step. So as an example, if we were selling a Facebook ads course, or let's say a course on how to write Facebook ads, well, the logical next step would be something about maybe landing pages or something about emails, right? Because someone who's driving Facebook traffic, presumably they're growing their email list, or hopefully they're making some sales. So the next thing we can do is help them out now that they're driving that Facebook traffic. And so as long as you can position your upsell as the next step on their journey, like the next level up or just the next thing that they're going to do, then it can help separate the value of what they just purchased and the value of what you're offering in your upsell. And that's really as much thought as we need to give to the upsell. But if you want some upsell ideas, here are a couple of quick ones. Now, as we rapid fire through these 3 ideas, remember this is just a starting point. If you already have an offer, and even if you think it's completely unrelated, go ahead and add it as an upsell. The worst that can happen is everybody says no, right? And again, timestamps below to skip around. So let's go ahead and jump into the first one, which is just going to be another digital product. So this can be a resource guide. This could be a tool kit or just a one-off template, a workshop, or a full-blown course, something that complements whatever it is that they just purchased. Of course, it can be on the same subject or same topic, but we just need to make sure that it's clear that these are two separate things and nobody thinks that, oh, this offer should have been included in what I just purchased. Now, the second one is pretty much never going to have that problem, and that's going to be some sort of subscription. The simplest type is a newsletter. This is going to be where you're going to do a bunch of research and reporting on their behalf, right? So if I'm going with my Facebook ads example that I always like, this would be us sharing insights from our ad accounts, right? Sharing insights from our client accounts, anonymized, of course. Or maybe we go out and we do a bunch of Facebook ads research, every other week or something, and then we bring all that data to our subscribers. And so essentially we're doing a bunch of work that our subscribers don't have time for, and we're providing information. We're providing information that our subscribers do care about. They just don't have time to go do all that research themselves. And speaking of not having time to do things, the third type, of course, is going to be some sort of membership. Now, technically, this is also a subscription, but the difference is you're going to be providing direct access to you to answer questions. Of course, this has become really popular recently with the launch, or I should say relaunch of some software, but this model has been around for quite a while. Now, something I do want to note here is this is not going to work in terms of what you might have heard in other sales pitches, where it's going to be this great mastermind where everyone's going to join your community and then they're just going to talk to each other and you just kind of have to lightly manage, right? People are joining because they want answers from you. So do make sure that if you go this route, you're ready and willing and aren't going to be drained by answering lots of questions or doing live Ask Me Anything webinars or calls inside of whatever your community is. And Systemi actually does have a community feature. I really don't recommend using a Facebook group for this. Definitely use a proper software so you actually have control over the content and, of course, your members as well. And so that does it for the 3 ideas. Again, if you already have something sitting around, just add it as an upsell. The worst that can happen is other people say no. Now let's go through the conversion anatomy of your upsell page, and a good way to think of this is just a really long ad. And when it comes to the framework we like to use, I like to use AIDA. It stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. Yes, I use this framework pretty much throughout every page in our funnel. If it converts, just keep using it, right? And so at the very top, we're going to grab attention, number 1, with our transaction bridge, more on that in a moment. And then number 2, of course, a headline that is really clear and upfront. We're selling you something else, right? Then we go into interest, where we either have a picture of the upsell or we have a 3-minute Pine formula VSL. We'll go through that as well. And then, of course, we need some bullet points to explain whatever it is the upsell offer is. Just a couple of features and quick roadblock breakers and results that they can get. Then if we have testimonials, 2 max, super short and sweet, like testimonials you would have on your checkout page or checkout section, very short, like 1 or 2 lines. And then, of course, we have the action, and that's going to be where we have a image of the picture, we have a big price drop, and we show them the massive discount they're getting because they're buying right now, and it's kind of like a special offer and thank you for being a customer and making their first purchase. And of course, this section also has the non-action button, which is no thank you, I want to skip. Now let's take a deeper dive into each one of these. Again, timestamps to skip around. So when it comes to grabbing attention, there's really 2 subsections here. The first one is the transaction bridge, because we need to make it clear to our customers that the transaction is still open and it's still going. So that's all we're doing up here, is essentially saying, hey, hold on, your order is not yet complete. Now, depending upon your niche or industry, people have probably seen pages like this before. When they first came out, everybody was confused and they weren't working and people hit back and, it was a mess, right? So we just need people to stay on this page and either click yes, I want to upgrade, or no, I don't. Now, the good news is most funnel builders are smart enough to close the transaction after 5 to 10 minutes. So if someone if for whatever reason just leaves this page open and comes back 2 hours later, it's probably not going to work. And you're still going to get paid for the initial offer that they purchased. So software has taken care of all of that for us. So we're just trying to make sure that people stay on this page and give us another couple minutes of their time to check out this next offer. And that's where our headline is going to come in. So we'll go through a basic formula here. As you can see, get the mechanism that allowed me to result. We're being super blunt. Yes, we're selling you something else. Yes, we think it's going to be helpful, right? So not beating around the bush at all. We don't have a lot of time either. So our headline starts with a mechanism. Now it wouldn't really make sense to say the course that allowed me to result. So you want to pull out a method, a strategy, some sort of unique mechanism inside of, I know I just said mechanism to describe mechanism, but something unique inside whatever you're offering that delivered the big results that your offer delivers. So in this particular instance, I'm going to call it the Facebook ads library, right? There's probably a better way to say a collection of Facebook ads, but hey, it's just an example, and I was running out of ideas, honestly. So then we go to the results. So just like you would do on all your other pages, make a list of results that, or I should say for all your other offers, make a list of results that your upsell offer delivers, and then pick the one you think is most important to your ideal customer. And not necessarily be the biggest, but it would be the most important. And then, of course, we want to use some copywriting chops, maybe you play with AI a little bit to spruce up whatever the result is. So in this particular instance, I could have had a headline that read, get the Facebook ads library so you can learn from other Facebook ads and convert better, right? Or something like that. That's a terrible idea. My notes definitely had something better, but I'm blanking. And so instead we have, get the Facebook ads library so you can ethically borrow proven to convert ad campaigns. So instead of just saying, so you can write better ads, in this particular instance, we're focusing on what they're going to be able to do. So again, we could have just as easily said, here's a bunch of awesome ads so you can write better ads yourself. But you do want to play with it and kind of dig into what they're going to actually be doing. And this is really helpful with upsell pages because then you are tying not only the result that they want, but you're also tying an action to whatever it is you are providing. I know that's kind of a subtle difference and that might not even make sense. I don't think I did a good job explaining that. But essentially we're saying, hey, you're going to actually be able to use this to do something tangible. We're not just giving you a bunch more information that you're going to have to sit through another 3-hour course. We don't want people to feel like they have to sit through more information. So we want to make this actionable as possible. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. So the next part of your upsell page, this is going to be the majority of it. This is, of course, building interest, right? And so with building interest, we're going to communicate the details of our upsell offer. And we're going to do this with 5 bullet points. Now, as you take a look at this example, you'll probably notice that I use the same 5 bullet points for all my stuff. We did run an experiment. We have a funnel where we use the same bullet points on the landing page, on the sales page, and the upsell page. I should say the same bullet point formulas, and they still work, right? Different offers, right? Or lead magnet, main offer, upsell offer. But when it comes to these formulas, they really do work. And by the way, your customers are not going to care that you're using the same copywriting technique the whole way through. If anything, it just sounds like you have a consistent voice, right? So if it worked on your landing page, it's probably going to work on your upsell page, right? So anyway, let's go ahead and go through an example here. We have 5 bullet points, but of course, for time purposes, I'll just go through one here. So here's a quick example. Learn how to verb so you can break roadblock to result. So we'll start with the result part of the sentence. This is where I like to start. So we already have a list of results because we made a list from our headline. So all we need to do is choose one of them and plug them in, and then we can build out the rest of the sentence. So we're going back to front. And I realized it's a mirror, so it probably should go this way. I always get confused when recording. So for the result, we're just going to go ahead and say more clicks is what they want. So we'll go ahead and say to boost click-through rates. And then we want to think of what's getting in the way of them not having high click-through rates. Now, to speed things up, spoiler alert, when we make the list of roadblocks, it's going to be ads, right? If your ad copy isn't great, nobody's clicking, right? And so in this particular instance, we'll address that and say craft better ads. So if they can craft better ads, if they can get over that hump, then they're going to be able to get the result that they ultimately want. And this is really as basic as copywriting is, right? It's just kind of like if this, then that. And so now that we have that overly simplistic example, now comes the hard part. So this is where we have to tell them the verb, like what action are they going to take that will allow them to write better ads so they can have better click-through rates. And so this is where it gets a little murky, because on the one hand, we got to admit, we have to be honest with people. You're going to have to do work, right? Unless this is a done-for-you service, they're going to have to do something. But we don't want to make it sound so arduous that it becomes an objection, right? You say, okay, all you have to do is study. All you have to do is study 20 hours, and then you'll be a copywriting expert, and you can craft better ads to boost your click-through rates. I don't want to study for 20 hours, right? So we need to figure out something simpler that they can do. We're acknowledging that they have to do work, but it doesn't sound daunting. And of course, we need to make sure our product doesn't make it daunting. So long story short, we went ahead and chose find your competitors' ads. So in this particular instance, we're saying, hey, you can learn how to find your competitors' ads so you can craft better ads to boost your click-through rates. Now, of course, this isn't explicit, but it's implying that when you find your competitors' ads, it'll give you better ideas so you can improve your ads. And so that's kind of what we're doing here. Again, link in the cards in the description to a video that goes through all the copywriting you would need for your upsell page, and of course, all your funnel pages as well. So the last part, drive action. This is going to be super simple, super basic. We are going to do a big price drop. We're going to offer some sort of money back guarantee. And then of course, we have the buttons to for the upsell yay or the upsell nay. Yeah, there we go. So first, your money back guarantee. Just make this the same length of time as the sales page. I know that probably seems like a no-brainer, but I have literally gone through funnels and had stories of students who say they went through funnels that refused to give them a refund on the upsells. So they got a refund on the main product, but then they didn't get a refund on the upsell. Now, yes, technically, you can tell your customers, well, I didn't say there was a free refund on the upsell. I only had that on the sales page. Well, I can pretty much guarantee you that anyone who purchases an upsell is going to logically and reasonably assume whatever guarantee you had on the sales page applies to everything else. Now, can you do it differently? Of course, but I think you're just going to have some pissed off customers. So might as well just make it consistent throughout and don't overthink it. And then underneath this money back guarantee, you will just have this giant block of look at how much money you are saving. Because at the end of the day, this is the kind of biggest persuasion, kind of urgency or hook for this offer. And we're essentially saying, hey, thank you for being a customer. We have this other awesome thing that you think you would enjoy. As a thank you for being a customer, here's this massive, insane discount right here only, right? And you do want to make sure that you have a discount that doesn't show up anywhere else. Like if someone has already seen it somewhere or they see it later on, then no one's going to take your upsells seriously anymore. So do make sure that it really is a great deal, only available as an upsell. Maybe you add some bonuses as well if you want to sell that product at that same price other places. And so one of the other things that we'll want to address here is, well, how much should the upsell be? And that, of course, it depends. So here's a couple of different pricing kind of options just to help you in terms of if my front end offer is $5, then my upsell could be $25. Or if my front end offer is $95, my upsell could be $125, or it could just be $25 again, right? Honestly, it should just be based upon what products you have lying around. So if you have products, put them as upsells, right? It really doesn't hurt. In fact, when I first started, one of my first funnels, it started at $4.95. The first upsell was $25. The second upsell was $95, and it had nothing to do with the first two. I was just like, well, might as well. And every once in a while, someone found value in it, someone purchased. But those couple of sales I wouldn't have gotten, and they made a big deal when I was first getting started, had I not just tried putting it there. Now, of course, I'd recommend just 2 upsells and be done with it. Don't do like the 7-chain, 7-chain upsell thing that ClickFunnels popularized. I think people are pretty burned out with that. But again, you could test and come back and be like, Jason, you're totally wrong. I did 7 upsells and my customers love it, right? So I'm starting to ramble. Let's go ahead and round this off with the 2 buttons at the bottom. So at the bottom, we're going to need a button that is essentially saying, hey, I want this upsell. Please add the price there. I think it's really going to help you, especially if you have to deal anything with credit card companies. If you send them screenshots, you just have the actual price that's being added to their order. And please make it clear, especially if it's a subscription. We do not want pissed off customers, and chargebacks will change. So if someone purchases an upsell, it's a subscription, 6 months later, they're upset and unhappy. I know I talk about chargebacks a lot, but it's really important. 6 months later, they're unhappy. Guess what? When they charge back, it's not 1, it's not 2, it's 6. And so it's like an instant 6 hits against your account. And depending upon how strong or how strong your merchant account thinks you are, that can cause some real headaches. So just make sure it's clear. And of course, the final link is to say no. I'm not interested in the upsell. And so that does it for the ADA framework applied to the upsell page. Those are all the elements that we need. And you will notice that I skipped desire. I really don't think you need testimonials on this page, but if you have some, you can of course include them. Now, jumping back up to the top of our upsell page, instead of having a simple product image, once you get it launched, I highly recommend putting a upsell video here. It only needs to be 3 minutes. And just like your video sales letter for your sales page, it can be 100% slides. Now, to do this, we'll use something called the PINE formula. Yes, I just like coming up with acronyms. So for this acronym, P stands for problem. So this is the problem that you're going to reveal in their next step. Then we're going to intensify the consequences of not preemptively addressing this issue. We're going to present a niche solution, and then of course we're going to energize them to take action. So these are 5 simple steps that we'll go through for this particular formula. Now, as we go through the examples and the actual copywriting formulas here, this is of course a guideline, right? I of course do my best to make sure that these are as easy to follow as possible, but I don't want you to feel so restricted that you have to do it this way. I definitely don't all the time. The only hard and fast rule I would say here is keep this whole video under 5 minutes. 5 minutes is just way too long for this particular page. We really want it to be short and sweet. So let's go ahead and kick things off with the first section of our little VSL, and that's going to be P, addressing the problem. So we'll break each section down into 3 parts. And because I can't memorize all of my notes, I'm just going to read off my screen for this one. Now, for the first 45 seconds of our upsell video, we're just affirming our ideal customer's purchase, right? So we want to make sure that we reinforce the decision they just made before we present them with another offer. So whatever main problems the main product solves and delivers, we'll talk about it as if it's already been taken care of because they purchased it, it's in the past, we're looking forward to the future now. This is also a great way to make sure that we create a good amount of separation between our initial offer and our upsell offer. Plus, customers like being reassured that they made a good decision. We want them to feel good about doing business with us. So we would start with something like this. I won't read through every single formula and example. Please feel free to pause if you want to read through them. Just for time purposes, we would be here 5 times as long, right? So all we're doing here is we're congratulating them on their purchase. We're affirming their decision to take this action and then setting the stage for the next step in the journey. Now, this next step, this is where we're going to bridge between the results the main product has delivered to them and the next roadblock. So we acknowledge the progress made. I know it seems a little silly, but we're saying, hey, you're making progress because they purchased a course. It's kind of like one of those things saying, what's the first step? Admitting you have a problem and actually doing something about it. So they're doing something about getting the result. Think of all the other people who just don't take action at all. So we want to be encouraging. Hey, you're on the right path. You're taking the right steps. And then empathize with the new roadblock that you are about to present, which is right here. So this is really tricky, right? Okay. This is tricky. It's not easy. We want to clearly articulate a new roadblock they face, and we want to make it clear that this new action is important and it's going to keep them from future results that they want, not results that the product they already purchased solves. They have those results. We're talking as if they already have them. We're talking about the next set of results they want or other similar results that they want. But we aren't touching any of the results or roadblocks that we talked about when we were selling our initial product here. So we want to say things like it will become vital because we're talking about something in the future. We're future pacing them now. I think I've beaten that enough. So if we were to put all three sections together in small print here, this is what the problem section might look like for selling a Facebook ads library, right? So again, you can always pause if you want to read through all of the examples. For time purposes, I'm just going to keep going. So this is essentially how we're trying to make a smooth transition between their product, the product they have, and the product they should purchase next. So next, we want to intensify the potential dangers of not taking action. So we've established what the next problem is going to be, and we want to paint a vivid picture of the consequences and struggles that might come up if this problem isn't started to address now. It's kind of one of those things, well, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of... Wow, I've been talking too long. I'm totally drawing a blank. Here's what this actually saying is supposed to be. So anyway, we'll use storytelling, some visuals and language to magnify the pain and frustration that your audience may experience in the future as they continue down their journey. So of course, first we're going to have consequences. We're painting that vivid picture, highlight tangible financial impacts such as wasted ad spend, lost revenue, or we could paint a vivid picture of operational challenges, ineffective campaigns, and stunted growth, or we could describe some emotional things like stress, frustration, and sense of defeat. I'm just kind of going with my Facebook ads example here. Then, of course, we want to create some urgency, convey the immediacy of the problem, like the longer they wait, the bigger the problem is going to be, empathize with the compounding nature of the issue. We just want to make them realize that they really shouldn't be waiting around to solve this problem. They really should be taking action on it now so that it never becomes a big issue or it never becomes an issue at all. And so we just want to create a little bit of fear of missing out on success if they don't take us up on this offer and prevent the problem that they're going to face. And then finally, we really want to drive home the emotional toll, the problem of the issue by painting a clear picture of frustration, stress, or a sense of defeat that might come from the struggle with it. So validating their current feelings of fear and frustration with whatever it is they're already struggling with, or that what they're about to struggle with, and then of course invoke a sense of hope that we can alleviate their pain. So by breaking down the intensify section into 3 steps, we can pretty methodically kind of heighten the emotional impact. Again, you can pause if you want to read through this entire example. So next, we're going to jump into niche, and this is where we get to our actual upsell offer. I know I've been talking for quite a while, but again, this video is only supposed to be about 3 minutes long. So when you read through just 5 or 6 sentences, it goes pretty fast. And of course, we want to quickly and efficiently demonstrate how our solution, aka the offer that we have for our upsell, is the logical choice to prevent these future problems. And so we present the solution now that we've intensified things, clearly state the solution that you're offering. So you're just introducing the offer, explain how it solves the problems you just talked about and you just intensified, and then of course set the stage for some unique benefits, which is the next section. So here you want to focus on how this offer is going to make things easier and faster for them, right? So this is somehow going to make their journey either quicker or less painful, right? So sometimes we can't shorten the amount of time it takes, right? But we can make the journey easier for them. And so we'll highlight some key benefits of our offer And think of this as kind of like 2 or 3 bullet points, right, that you're just saying out loud in the video. And then, of course, we go to proof. Just want to establish some quick credibility, demonstrate that your solution actually can deliver on the promises you just made, aka helping them achieve a result and overcome the roadblocks and problems that you presented. And if you want to flash a couple testimonials or social proof, this would be the place to do it. It needs to be something that's super easily digestible, right? You don't want to stop for a 30-second video clip of someone singing your praises. It should all be text, and ideally something that you can read relatively quickly. And so here is a lot of text, but here's the example of what the niche section would look like for our Facebook ads library upsell. Again, you can pause if you want to read through the entire thing. So finally, we've got energize, and this is where we just want them to take action, right? We want them to scroll down and click that button that says, yes, add this to my order, as opposed to no thanks, I'm good. And so we'll put a image of the solution on screen and essentially state whatever the unique selling proposition of the offer is. And this will feel like you're repeating what you did a couple sections earlier, and that's okay. We're being short and sweet, and we're really focusing our message down. Then, of course, we can create some urgency, reminding them this is a one-time offer. It's only here today at this price. Make sure you don't say the price in the video. You don't want to have to go edit it later. So just say at this price, and then on screen, put the price. That way you can easily change the price and mix and match your whatever you're actually offering or including in the offer, or add some bonuses later on. And then, of course, the call to action, tell them to scroll down and click the button to add it to their order. This is something that I learned from John Benson, who is the guy who is the inventor of VSLs. Always tell people exactly what to do. Scroll down and click the add to order button below. If you really want to be ninja, then you could go ahead and even say the button color and say exactly what's going to be on the button. For the most part, I just say the button color because sometimes I change what's on the button, or I totally forget that I said enroll now, and then the button says order now, and then it's a little bit incongruent, and it could actually wind up hurting your conversion. So here is the example of the energize section. And of course, here's an example of the entire script altogether. I know it's a lot of text, but if you want to read through it, you can go ahead and pause, and hopefully it helps you come up with some ideas for your own upsell video. All right, so let's get started actually building out our upsell page. So jumping over to Systemi here, I'm in our demo funnel that you can grab in the description. And on the free plan, you can only have one active upsell. So the way the upsells work is you can go and click on add step, come over here under sales, and you'll see there's upsells and downsells. And so we'll go ahead and click on upsell. We'll leave downsells as when you have one that is less. So if someone says no to an upsell, then Systemi would send them over to a downsell. But that's advancing for another day. You'd go ahead and click on upsell and then give it a name. But because we already have a page all set, all I need to do is click the upsell and drag it right after the sales letter, and Systemi will take care of the rest in the background. Now, if you upgrade in the future and you have multiple upsells, you just have to have them in the order that you want. And of course, you need to end it with a confirmation page. So here, I'll go ahead and click on our upsell page, and I'll jump into edit it. Now, just like with any page in your funnel, the first step to editing the page, here's the template that we'll be going through, is coming over to settings, fixing up your typography, uploading your custom fonts if you have any, so that every page in your funnel looks congruent. Of course, changing out the colors as well. Jump down here, skip SEO, don't need that at all. Jump down here to put in your tracking codes. I'm always going to say that. Remember to put in your tracking codes. And then if you're on the paid plan, you of course can go ahead and remove the commissions banner or tab or button, whatever we're going to call it here, because we want people to focus on our upsell offer, not get distracted by signing up for Systemi. Although it is nice to collect affiliate commissions, we'll just do it at a later time if it makes sense to promote it. That's the other thing too. There are a lot of niches where it doesn't make sense to promote funnel software, right? So anyway, let's go ahead and jump over here. So at the top, of course, you'd want to go ahead and change this and drop in your logo. Same editing across all your other funnel pages, right? Now up top here, what we did is we created this little transaction bridge section. So it's really clear, or I think it's clear that the order is still in progress. Now, if you decide to make your own templates, whatever your sales page or checkout page looks like, you want to use a very similar design on this page. So it looks like a natural progression and congruency. And so whatever you decide to put up here, I'm just going to leave it alone. And I'll go ahead and jump down to my headline. So to save us some time, I'm going to pull a template of copywriting from one of our paid offers. And I'll go ahead and highlight. I'll hit Command-Shift-V on a Mac, Control-Shift-V on Windows. So I keep the formatting and font that I want in Systemi. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove all of the spaces here. And of course, if I don't like how this looks, I don't right now, I'll go ahead and click on the element and I will play with margin. So right now it looks like I don't have any margin at all, which means I don't have a lot to work with. But maybe if I change it to 50, it won't work, but 75 did. And so now I have this nice reverse pyramid looking headline. Now, of course, we do want to check it on mobile and make sure it doesn't look too funny. So of course, on mobile, I'd probably go ahead and remove the margins. Actually, they're already removed, so we're good. So that's pretty much all we need to do for our headline grabbing attention because the template already has this set up for us. So then the next section here, we need to, of course, drop in whatever our image is going to be for our product. We just click there, upload our image, or if we have a VSL, that's a maximum of 5 minutes, then we can go ahead and click video, drag that in, and we can upload it directly to Systemi. And that's what I recommend doing, unless for some reason you're already paying for Wistia or Vimeo. Sometimes those load a little faster than Systemi's videos, but for the most part, you just upload it directly to Systemi and call it good, even on the free plan. And when it comes to the video settings, please leave autoplay off. I actually recommend not having autoplay on and just have your thumbnail say click to play. And so that's what we do with all of our sales videos, because there's so many browsers these days that block the audio. And so the video will start playing. They'll, miss the first 10 or 15 seconds and then nothing makes sense. So just go ahead and leave the autoplay off. And so just to have people click. So I'll go ahead and delete that. Then I have another round of copying and pasting from our template. So we'll go ahead and speed through this. And just like that, I've got some super basic bullet points in there and a little introduction. And of course, then we have our money back guarantee. I'll just go ahead and say 90 days. We want this to match whatever the guarantee is on your sales page. Otherwise, it will confuse people. And I don't remember the offer name we had here. I think it was Facebook. Yeah, Facebook ads library. And again, the template I'm just copying from for time purposes. It's part of one of our paid courses. So then at the bottom here, this is where things get unique for our upsell page. Because at this point, you've probably done all this stuff already, right? So for here, we want to make it really clear that this is a crazy, cool, awesome discount. So for our example, it goes from $45 all the way down to $9.97. So I can remember $45 and $9.97, but I'm definitely not going to remember, whoops. But I'm definitely not going to remember the percentage. So I'll drop that percentage in, and then the final price is $9.97. There we go. Now, I'm also going to recommend putting it down here as well. I always like to cover my bases on these pages, just in case I come back and change something in the future and I forget that that was the only place I actually had the price. And we'll say save 35 off the original price, right? So they're saving $35, which is like 77%. And that does it for all of our text. Now, when it comes to how Systemi works uniquely with this page, these two are actually both buttons. So when we come over to elements here, and we don't need forms or checkboxes, but what we do need is accept offer button and decline offer button. So I'll go ahead and add them so you can see what it looks like. But first I'm going to use 2 columns. So I'll go ahead and drag 2 columns right there. And then I'll drag the accept and I will drag the decline. And so this way, if someone clicks this, Systemi knows, hey, they want to buy this product. we're going to give it to them and we're going to charge their card. If someone clicks this button, then Systemi knows they don't want it. They're not going to charge the card. And if you're doing a downsell, then they'll be sent over to the downsell. And so that is what these two buttons are. Personally, I saw some upsells. I would give credit if I could remember whose upsell it was, where instead of having a green button and a gray button like a lot of upsell pages do, they actually just put it as a link at the bottom. And I really like that format. So I actually just reformatted the decline offer to look like a link. So say, no thanks, I'm good on my own, or yes, upgrade my order today. Now checking my notes, I forgot two things. Number one, the price offer here, you can actually drag that in, but I think it looks really ugly. So I don't want this on this page. So I would rather, just go ahead and have the actual total here. And somehow I accidentally undid what I typed. And so just typing in the total there. And then the other thing is, if you wanted to have testimonials on this page, then this would be the place to do it, right here, right before the money back guarantee. So I'd go ahead and drag in a row right after the bullet points, and then I'd come over to blocks, because why design it from scratch when they already have it done for you? And I'd go ahead and choose one of the testimonials. So I like the one at the bottom, so I just go ahead and click and drag that in. Oh, actually, it's a section. So I'd go ahead and drop the section in, and then I would drag the row up to where I want it. Come on, Systemi. There we go. We're almost there. If you're like, really? Does everybody else have this problem? Yes. Every page builder I play with seems to have this issue. Like, come on, just one more. All right, you know what? That's close enough. There we go. Because then I can just take this row and drop you down. And then I'll delete the row that I made. Boom. There we go. So now we have our testimonials, and we can update them. I'll probably just take off this silly thing. We don't need that. And of course, we'd want to fix the spacing, change the row so that it doesn't have this little white bar here, and all that fun stuff. So that does it for all of the design elements of our upsell page. And so now what we need to do is actually set up this pricing. And of course, you would want to connect it to a product. And so after deleting the demo elements we don't actually need, I'll go ahead and scroll up here, click on Save Changes, because it does not auto-save. And then we'll go ahead and exit and set up our price. So we are on the upsell page. All we need to do is come down to Price Plans, click the plus button. And just like you did with your sales page, you can go ahead and choose the type of payment you want. So in this particular instance, I could take the exact same payment as I did for my sales page, or I could go ahead and create a new one, which is probably a better idea. And of course, I'd go ahead and give it a descriptor and name. And so here's a quick example of how I would fill this out. On the display, I would say 77% discount. It just helps reinforce the fact that this is a discount. And then for my internal name, I'm just going to say what price it is. So I know what the end price is, and I never have to do math on the fly and make my self be embarrassed. Then for the descriptor, of course, this is what shows up on someone's credit card statement. So we're going to be very boring and plain. And of course, this is going to be a one-time payment of $9.97. And I could go ahead and click on Save, and then I would be good to go here. So now we have our pricing plan there. And so when someone clicks that link on our upsell page to add this to their order, they'll be charged $9.97 in addition to their initial purchase. And now that we've completed your upsell page, pat yourself on the back. The funnel pages are done, unless you want to add more and make it more complicated. But we'll leave that for another day. It's been long enough already. Now let's switch gears, because we have all of our pages set up, and talk about email. Because at the end of the day, most of the people aren't actually going to purchase through our process. We're going to be lucky to get anywhere from 2 to even 3%. 3%, you're knocking it out of the park. So 3% of people buy here, and 2% of people have already unsubscribed. And so we need to talk about what we're going to do with the other 95% of people. But first, there are two other email sequences you're going to want to set up. Now, when it comes to your email marketing, these are the three I recommend. you have your rapport sequence, you have your warm welcome sequence, and then of course you have your broadcast sequence for the 95% of people who probably aren't going to buy and didn't unsubscribe during the first couple of days. So let's quickly go through what each one of these is designed to do. So the rapport sequence, which is the most important one right now, is going to go out over a 24, 48, or maybe 4-day period, right? There's probably a better way to say that. But essentially, it's going to go out the first couple of days someone joins your email list. And this is going to be where we deliver that lead magnet and we drive traffic to one of our sales pages. Whatever sales funnel strategy that you're using, drive people to the sales page. More on that in a little bit. And then the next one is going to be our warm welcome sequence. And this is exactly as it sounds. We're rolling out the welcome carpet for our new customers. The whole goal is to collect some testimonials and then hopefully, of course, reduce the refund requests that we get by making sure people have what they need. Now, this isn't giving people your personal email address. You'll, of course, use a support email for this, and you can do this on the paid plan of Systemi. Now, when it comes to the broadcast sequence, this is more of a kind of ongoing project, but essentially you want to be sending emails every once in a while to your list to, number one, just let them know you're still around and you can still be helpful. And then every couple of emails, you can have some sort of promotion. So if you have multiple offers, you have some affiliate promotions you want to do, this is the place where you're going to do that and grow your relationship with your list. I have people on our list who were there for over a year before they decided to be a client, and some who were there for like 6 or 9 months. And then they finally decided that I was trustworthy enough to take a gamble on a $25 product, right? So you never know where someone is in their journey. And of course, you never know how much someone needs to be convinced that you can actually be helpful to them. And this sequence can actually be done on the free version of Systemi. The only reason I say the warm welcome can't is because there's some limitations on the number of automations you can have on your free account. But if you decide to upgrade in the future, you can do all of these and way more without any sort of restrictions. So let's quickly go through the 5 emails that you probably want to send out for your rapport sequence, and then we'll just jump into the interface and actually build them out. So the first email in your rapport sequence goes out 5 or 10 minutes after someone joins your email list. And so this is going to be your lead magnet. We're delivering exactly what they asked for. Now, after this first email, the next 4 are designed to empathize with whatever their situation is, then expand the dangers of not taking action on the roadblocks that they're facing, and of course, energize them to take action. And that's because these next 4 emails are going to drive traffic to your sales page. So whether you have a one-time offer page, whether you have just a normal traditional sales page or VSL or webinar, these 4 emails are going to drive people to whatever that page is. And personally, I like sending these emails out over the first 48-hour period because on our sales pages, as soon as someone opts in, we have that one-time offer page. And we essentially say, hey, you got 48 hours to take advantage of this cool, awesome offer. And then we send emails over a 48-hour period to try and get people to take us up on the deep discount. And if they don't, then they're automatically dropped into our broadcast sequence and they don't receive sales emails for a while because we're a little pushy in the beginning. And if for whatever reason it's not a good fit, that's okay. We're going to leave them to our broadcast sequence and maybe something else will be more helpful to them down the road. Now, jumping into Systemi here, from anywhere in your Systemi account, of course, we're going to come over here to emails. Now, automations is where you can create some advanced rules and workflows. It's really, really cool. But when you're on the free plan, you run out of those pretty quick. So we are going to use a good old-fashioned campaign to get the job done. Now, when you check out the link in the description, you can actually import this email campaign directly into your Systemi account. But if you wanted to create a new one from scratch, you'd go ahead and click on Create Campaign, give it a name, a quick description, and save. Now, the difference between an email campaign and an automation is an email campaign is just going to be triggered when you have a tag or an event, and then it's going to send emails in a straight order on a predetermined delay. Whereas automations is going to check for rules, like if they click this link, send them this email. If they bought this thing, send them that, right? Like it gets really advanced really quick. So there's a lot you could do, but for me, I like to keep things simple. If someone takes an action, they join our email list or they purchase something, I want to just send them a couple of emails because I know exactly what they just did. And then I put them back on our broadcast list. I know some people are like, oh my gosh, how could you run email marketing so simple? There's so many great tools. And I go, well, there's also a lot of things you could be doing, right? So I'll get off that. Let's go ahead and jump in here. So as you can see here, we have a couple of columns. Obviously, everything's 0 because this is a demo. But you'll see here the delays later. These are the delays in between the emails. So they all go out in one order. There's no automations in between them, but you can set up an automation to start this campaign, which we'll do at the very end. So for editing, let's go ahead and jump in here. And you can always click the 3 little dots to deactivate. You can even create comments in here if you're keeping track of multiple things with other team members, but I'll just go ahead and click on the email so we can get into editing. Now for the subject line, the preview in the body, this is very important. Your subscribers see all of this, right? So the subject line is of course what people are going to see before they open the email when it's in their inbox. The preview is actually some inboxes and some apps will show the first couple lines of text of an email. So instead of showing the actual text, you can essentially make a little teaser for or it would be a 1 or 2 line teaser for your email. So the point is to just entice people to open it. And then when you download the template linked up in the description, each email will kind of have 3 bullet points on the types of things to include. And of course, you could also just throw this over to AI and say, hey, write me an email that has this stuff for whatever it is that you're selling or providing as your lead magnet. So we wanted to make this as simple as possible. Now for some boring settings, right? First, we have your sender name. Use your full name, plain, right? Like this is not time to be tongue in cheek. Email service providers are looking at this. If it has a bunch of special characters or emojis or it looks funny, your email deliverability is going to suffer dramatically. And Systemi might actually just not send your emails because if your email deliverability starts hurting other accounts, then obviously they care about that. And that's something that they do actually track. So then we have the sender's address. So this is going to be where your email is sent from. Now, this gets a little complicated. Obviously, they have a warning here saying don't use a Gmail or Yahoo address because it's not set up for that. But you do need to have your own custom domain, and you'll have to do some things in the DNS settings to essentially say, hey, it's okay for Systemi to send emails on my behalf. And then earlier this year, in 2024, there were some there were some legal changes with some other like text files you have to have with your email, but Systemi has you covered with all that techie stuff, right? They stay up to date with it. So all you need to do is come over to your account and settings, click on emails, and then you can go ahead and actually set up your email address here. They have support articles that go through what you need to add. It is a little confusing. And of course, you can always use good old YouTube University because someone has probably made a tutorial specific to whatever service provider you're using to host your domain because everyone is a little different. So I'll go ahead and jump back over to our email here. Now, something I really like is you can actually attach files here. So you can attach your lead magnet directly. But if it's anything other than a PDF, probably don't do it, right? Because the internet service providers are going to look at that file. They're going to want to scan it. And if it's too big or if it's a strange format, like you're sending a bunch of Photoshop templates or something, you're more likely to get flagged as spam, right? So in that case, probably just be better to link over to Google Drive, which is what we wind up doing a lot. Now we have activate settings. We'll take care of that later because this is the first email, so it doesn't come after anything. And then, of course, we have personalization. Now, personally, for personalization, I don't like using this because if anything is wrong or someone just gave us a fake name, then our emails look really, really silly. And you'll notice here, I have it formatted as plain text. That's what I recommend for these types of emails. You don't want to make fancy, overly designed emails for this. There are places and times for that, but this is not one of them in the rapport sequence. So, of course, I'll go ahead and jump back out to our campaign here, and I'll click on the second one so we can talk about the delays and, of course, the oh so important testing of your email, right? So I'll come down here, and the first thing we can do is select which email this is supposed to come after. So I have a 5 email sequence. I want this to be email number 2, so it will come after the free gift. Then we say how long should Systemi wait before it sends it. So you can wait 10 minutes, you could wait 10 days, or in this particular instance, 10 hours. Because I have this sequence formatted, so it goes out just about 48 hours after someone signs up. And then, of course, you also have some advanced things where you can set the time of day you want the email to be sent. And then, of course, you can even have days skipped. So, for example, if you don't want emails being sent on the weekend when most people aren't opening them, then you can go ahead and say, hey, skip the weekend and just send it Monday morning sometime, right? And so that does it for the settings. Before we jump out here, already talked about just use plain text, so there's not much to go over there. You can see each one of the emails has some little prompts for you to get started. You do want to save and test every single one of your emails. So when you click this, you can go ahead and send the email to yourself, read it word for word in your inbox, click every single link. Click every single link twice, right? Because the last thing you want to do is send emails with broken links, and then you find out you could have been making sales and you're not making sales. It's just one of those things like making a YouTube video like this one. If we post a mistake, that's it. We can't fix it, right? It's not like a blog post where you can be like, oh, my bad. It's literally one and done. So do pay really special attention. Do make sure that you're going through all of your emails, testing all those links, and of course, making sure nothing is formatted funny. I still remember one time I was working with a client. I was at an agency, and there was 2 extra spaces at the top of the email. And for some reason, MailChimp decided that meant it needed to put a plethora of just jumbled mess code. And we sent it out to thousands of people. And boy, was boss not happy. So make sure that you double, triple check those emails. All right, so let's go ahead and jump over to our funnels, because this is going to be where we tell Systemi how to trigger it. Now, there are other ways to do this. You can have tags and you can use automations, but because we're on the free plan, I am working to absolutely maximize everything that you can do. And you're going to want to use the tag for something else probably. So I'm going to jump into my demo funnel here, and I'm going to go to our landing page, and I'm going to go to automation rules, and I'm going to say add a rule. So when funnel step is subscribed, I'm going to add a rule. Oops, funnel step subscribed. I click on it. Then we can add a action. So add an action. Now you can see here, you can add tags, remove tags. When you're on the paid plan, you'll probably use tags for everything, but you're limited on tags. So we're just going to skip that and go directly to the campaign. So someone opts in, campaign starts, right? So if we come down here, I'm sure it's right in front of me. Subscribe to a campaign. There it is, the first one. So I'll go ahead and click down here, and I'm going to say subscribe to this campaign, save rule. So now what happens, as soon as someone enters their name and email on this landing page here, they will automatically be subscribed to the automation that we just set up, and that we will send out. Send up still doesn't work. So if I click over on campaigns and free account, it is a little confusing because you can't tell from this page that you're actually using it and it's set up. But do make sure that all the statuses are active. Double check your timing if you're doing any sort of fancy thing with a countdown timer. And so, of course, this is correlated to 48 hours. And then, of course, in your funnel, just double check that on your landing page, when you have your automation rules, when the funnel step is subscribed, they are being sent to the proper campaign. And again, on the free plan, there are some limitations on how many of these you can set up. But if you decide to upgrade in the future, you can have all sorts of campaigns and tags and conditional whatevers and pull your hair out at the complexity in there. But for now, that's all there is to it, to setting up your campaign inside of Systemi and having an automated email sequence go out right after someone opts in. And so now that we have our email automation set up, it's time to create our product, right? We've built this awesome funnel. So now we need to make sure that when someone actually purchases, they get access to the content and downloads that they just bought. So we'll go ahead and go through that now. Now, when it comes to the purposes of this guide, I'm going to assume that you already know what your digital product or course or content is going to be about. So we'll just jump straight into how Systemi organizes content and actually start building out your membership site. So Systemi uses a two-tiered system. It's nice and simple. You have modules and you have lectures, aka lessons. They're pretty interchangeable, right? So this is just an example of what a simple 5-course module outline might look like. And we've also included it in the template to help you if you need to fill in the gaps with whatever your ideas are. And so just have an idea of how you want to organize all of your content in the context of 2 levels. You have modules, and then you have all the lessons or lectures underneath them. And inside those modules, or inside those lectures and lessons, is where you put all of your actual content. So let's go ahead, jump into Systemi and build this out. So of course, from any page in your account, just come up here to products and then go ahead and click on courses. To create a new course, you'll click new course. And this is what you're going to use for any sort of digital product delivery. So even if you're just delivering a template or you have some sort of ebook, I would recommend doing it this way because it gets people used to coming to your membership site to grab things, and it makes it super easy to update. So you just update the course and then you say, hey, everybody, go check out the membership site for the update, as opposed to sending out emails. And then you will inevitably get people emailing you saying, can you please send me the email again? I forgot. I can't find it in my inbox. And you're like, nothing is deleted in your inbox. You just use the search bar. But anyway, we'll put everything inside of our membership site. And then, of course, I'll show you how to connect it to your funnels. Now, to speed things up, the template linked up in the description is already ready to go for us. So, and once you've loaded up the template, we just need to change it to whatever your offer is. So of course we have the course title, your instructor name, the language that your students will be speaking. This will affect the menus. And then we'll want to have a quick little description that is a teaser. So here you want to write it for someone who hasn't purchased the course yet. And you'll see why that matters in a little bit. And then we also included our course outline here. We just weren't sure the best place to put it. So you can delete it, but this is here to help you if you are still looking for figuring out how to organize your course or add some content. Then we have our custom domain. To set up your custom domains, all you need to do is go to your settings and click on domains. And Systemi has a documentation on how to change your DNS records so you can get your custom domain. Then for your URL path, unless you're doing something advanced, I would just leave this alone. This is something that's really helpful if you're doing some advanced tracking and you want every page to have the course name in it. So something like course A would be the URL path, and then Systemi would add the random characters that represent your different module, your different lesson pages. So I'll go ahead and undo that. Now, when it comes to the theme, this is, I would arguably say, for me, this is like the most disappointing part of this entire software. So I'm going to change it to teal just so you can see how obnoxious it is. And I do hope that in the future we get to just choose a custom color. That would be really nice. Font is just your default font, but you'll still have full control when you're making your lesson pages. And of course, your teacher photo, logo, and then course cover. Your course cover is going to be 1920 by 720. 720. So size of a YouTube thumbnail. You'll want to also play with the spacing of things because as you'll see in a moment, there's actually curved edges. So you don't want to put things right on the edge of your image. You actually want to bring it in like 2 or 3 pixels, but you'll see in a moment. And then for the sales page, this is going to essentially tell Systemi which funnel promotes this offer. And this is going to matter in a moment, but you can see here, I've chosen my demo template and I've chosen the sales letter for that. And then of course we have the tracking code area for your entire membership site. You can also turn off modules. So if you just want to have a nice long list of lesson pages, you don't want to organize them by modules, then you can go ahead and turn that off here. So enough with the settings. I'm going to go ahead and click save. And now we're going to jump over to our school here and you're going to see a preview. So this is the preview of what it looks like. You can see how the edges are kind of rounded. And so for like these ones, I used to have this icon flush and it just looked kind of funny. So you will want to play around with that a little bit to make sure that things come across looking professional, because this is your membership site. People paid to have access to this. Now, the other thing too is you can see we have our course title, and we'll have your name here. And then you'll have this little preview. So this is way too much info, by the way. But you can see here our little one sentence kind of unique selling proposition is designed for people who have not purchased yet. So you can have these show up here. People can see the other things that you have to offer them. And if they click Get Access, they'll be taken directly to the sales page that you set up. Now, because this is demo, I'm going to click Get Access, and it's going to take me to a preview. Now, you can see here, this is the teal color that I chose just to show you what the theme colors actually affect. So it's pretty much the top bar, and then they'll do a lighter version here around your navigation. So if I go back to course settings and I change it back to the default theme, because I think that looks a lot better, and then I refresh this page, now you'll be able to see that it's this nice dark blue, and they have this nice neutral gray, or bluish gray. And so that's what I like about that. You'll see we have the picture of yourself, your name, and then of course you can go ahead and click through the different lessons inside of this first module. And then we'll go through the page building and all this other information in a moment. So that does it for your course settings, and then a quick little preview of what your membership site could look like. So now, of course, we need to add some content. So I'm going to come back out. I'm going to click on our course here, and you can see here we can go ahead and add modules. So these are the modules. And then inside of the modules, we can add lectures. Now we can click and drag these modules around if we want to change the order of them. And you can also click and drag your lessons between different modules. So now this is in lesson 3. I wanted it in 2. There we go. Now it's in lesson 2. Now it's back to lesson 1. And before we dive into creating the actual module or lesson content, you'll go ahead and click these 3 little dots. You'll see we have some options here. Duplicate is going to be your best friend in a moment. But for now, if we click on settings, you can see that we actually can create a delay. So if you want this to come maybe week number 2 or 3 of them being part of the course or membership site, you can do that. You can also time this based upon a free trial. So let's say you give someone a free 7-day trial to one of your courses, right? And you can actually delay some of the content so that they only see it after 7 days. Now, obviously, if you did it with all of it, then they can't see anything. But if you have some more proprietary information, or you're like, I spent way too long on this template to be giving it away completely free at times, then you can go ahead and just have that particular section delayed after whatever the free trial is. You can also enable comments. I haven't played too much with the communities part of Systemi yet, but I would go ahead and leave comments off unless you really plan on being in there every day answering questions. And then still, I would suggest leave comments off and just make a community, right? So I'll go ahead and exit out of this, and I'll jump into lesson number 1 here so we can go through our elements. Now, this is what the page looks like. So if I look at this page and I jump over to our live preview, remove this awkward space. But as you can see, we're just editing what's in this white box. So if I click on template 2, which is one of theirs, you'll see only things that are being edited is in this white box, and that's what we are editing here. So of course, you're probably going to have a video, a quick little overview, maybe a download button to a template or script or worksheet, and then some extra resources. And this is also a great place to include some affiliate promotions as well, because they're already in your course, they're already doing the work, and you can say, hey, these resources I think will be helpful in terms of helping you go further and faster in whatever it is that you're working on. And so what I would recommend doing is whatever design you want for all of your lesson pages, whatever elements you want for all of your lesson pages, put it on this one. Put it in one page, even if it's just like super long and you have all different weird combinations, just put it on one page. And then let's say we have everything we need, save settings. For me, I do because I keep it pretty simple. We'll go ahead and exit. And then all I need to do is duplicate this and drag it to another module and then start editing. So I can just come over here and say duplicate. Yes, we're going to duplicate this. So now I have a copy. Click it down to implementation number 4. We'll try that again. Oh, it did work. There we go. And now I can go edit edit it, and I'll just delete any of the elements I don't need. So I have this nice master template. And of course, if I don't want people to be able to see it, I can just go ahead and deactivate it. And now it can sit there. It's a template I can use, and students aren't going to see it, and it has all the information that I need. So I'll go ahead and activate it again here. And of course, we could always come up here to view if we wanted to check out what our course looks like. And of course, for our students, they can click courses, or they can go ahead and click our logo, and it will take them to their current enrollments or explore. It just keeps going to explore because I haven't purchased anything here. This is all just a preview account. But I can jump into one of these, and you can see how some of the other colors look. I was trying to make purple work. It didn't work. I gave up on it. But there you go. So really, the only big drawback is not having that extra ability to change this navigation bar color to really match your brand. But after that, you have everything in terms of features that you would need to deliver a course. And speaking of delivering courses, let's make sure that we deliver this to the right people. So I'm going to jump back into the backend dashboard here, and I will click on funnels. I'm going to jump into my demo funnel here, and then I'm going to go to our sales page or order form. So here, I'm going to go to automation, actually not automation rules anymore. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to click on resources. So I'll click resources, I'll select a resource, I'm going to select course, choose course, and you see here I have a couple that we've been playing with, and I'll just choose the template and access. You could do full, partial, or drip. So this is really advanced, right? So you could have one funnel where everyone gets everything at once, and then you could have another funnel where people only get part of the course, and then you could have another funnel where people are dripped out the content. So I don't know how advanced some people's membership sites get, but I'm just going to say full access. Keep things nice and simple, and we can grant access on a specific date. And we can even have a expiration if this is just like a little preview someone's paying for. So we will go ahead and click on save. And so now when someone purchases, we already have our pricing plan set up, and someone should get access to the course that we set up. And of course, if we wanted to give them access to other things as well, we could just go ahead and say courses, and then go ahead and choose the course that we want. And you also have the ability to create course bundles. So for example, if I'm doing this, courses, and I say I want to give them the Hawk VSL copywriter, I'll give them partial access. I'll just give them the sales graphics and unique edge formula for some reason. Click on save. Like that's how that would work. That's how granular this gets. But if you have a collection of courses that you just want to always sell as a bundle, then you can always come over here to products, come down here to courses, and then click on bundles. And this is going to be where you're going to be able to create a bundle. Once you do, you'll be able to click into it and you'll be able to customize what people have access to. So you can do it in a bundle setting, or you could do it inside of your funnel setting. So there's a lot of different places you can do the same thing. It just depends on how you want to keep yourself organized, right? This is as long as you can remember what goes where, or it's written someplace, you are good to go. Your membership site is all set up and ready to go live. Wow. Okay. Well, 19 hours of recording later, we are done. Obviously, you haven't been sitting here for 19 hours because we cut out all my mistakes. And of course, I had to take a break for a meal or two there. But wow, that was by far the longest video we have ever made. If you're still watching, please hit that like button. Subscribe for more videos that are way shorter than this. This is probably a record. We spent months putting this together for you, and we sincerely hope, and I keep saying we because it's not just me, a whole team worked on this, to make sure that this was like the ultimate free guide to every little thing that we could think of to get your sales funnel off the ground. So thank you so much for watching. Comment below if you have any questions, or just give us a couple thumbs up emojis to let us know that you actually made it this far through this video. I have no idea how long it is. I just know I've been sitting here way too long. I am delusional and I should probably get some sleep. So thank you again for watching. One more time, link in the description to all of the templates that we went through, the sales funnel pages, the emails, and then of course, even the course template. Systemi allows us to share that all with you. Everything works on the free plan, the confines, of course, unless they change it. You can tell I'm rambling. I'm really excited because I've been sitting here so long, and we are finally on the home stretch. So seriously, pat yourself on the back. It's really our goal to help you get up and running with Systemi or whatever funnel builder you decided to use. And until the next, keep building the business you love.